This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Welcome back, everybody, to Wrestling Omakase. It is episode number 169, and this week I am very pleased to be joined by a first-time guest, Voice of Wrestling contributor Harley Duncan. Hi, Harley.
Hey, John. How you going, mate?
Pretty good. Yes, nighttime for me, morning for you. Always wacky how time zones work.
It is.
Where are you over there? Are you in Australia or New Zealand? I can never remember which.
I'm Australian.
Okay. Because I know we have one from both, I think, right?
I think we might have Kevin, who might have been originally from New Zealand, but he's over in Australia now. So, and then we got Liam, who's Australian too.
Okay, so I guess it is all Australia.
Yeah,
but yeah, unlike New Japan, which is mostly New Zealand. But...
Yes, exactly right.
But yeah, so you know, I'm very jealous that you get to watch these New Japan shows like live at normal hours. It must be so great.
Oh, let me tell you, when night 2 came on yesterday for me at 3 p.m. It was on 3 p.m. on a Sunday afternoon, mind you. It was literal heaven. So now I'm a bit disappointed when we get to night 3 on Wednesday. I have to wait for the terrible hours of 7:30 p.m. at night to watch it live.
Very, very, my heart breaks for you. But yeah, I don't really, at this point, I don't really, because of, you know, back in the day, I used to just stay up all night like a crazy person. Now it's like, well, you know, I have a not 9 to 5, but a 10 to 6 job. So it's like I can't really do that anymore. So I do it like for Wrestle Kingdom every year, and that's it. And I have to take vacation days to do that. So,
but yeah, you got to pick your battles, I think.
Yeah. But anyway, welcome to the show. Pleased to have you here.
For having me.
Do you want to talk? I guess before actually we get into everything, do you want to talk a little bit about like your history with either Japanese wrestling or wrestling in general? Like, how'd you get into this stuff?
Sure. So I guess I got into wrestling in about 2003. When I was 9 years old, my buddy Kai, who's Japanese, funnily enough, he just got me into watching SmackDown, which was like coming on at Friday nights at the time for Australia, and just throughout the years, you know, when you get a bit older, you become more and more disheartened with that company.
Well, okay, people always say this, but 2003 SmackDown still had some good stuff on it.
Oh yeah, no. Like I mean, I was watching when the lockdown first happened. I got the network again, and I started watching 2003 and 2004 pay-per-views and SmackDown. So and that still holds up really well in terms of the match quality and even just like certain things about it. Like SmackDown would open with like a Rey Mysterio tag match, which is, you know, 1,000 times better than a 20-minute promo.
Yeah, I don't know what I mean. People, I guess, differ on when it took like the giant nosedive. To me, it was like the late aughts. I think is where it never comes back. It never really recovers. It recovers a little bit, I guess, like the Shield stuff and Daniel Bryan and stuff. But like, I think there's a trend line there. Where, like after like the late aughts, it's never really the same to me.
I would say it started getting, for me, really sort of bad when it just became like video screens everywhere. You couldn't say belts. You couldn't say, wrestling, when it was just became so micromanaged and overproduced.
Yeah.
And I was like, this just looks like this looks like shit, and it sounds like shit. And then a guy, when I was first becoming a quote unquote smark, when I was about 14, so about 2008, there was a YouTube guy that I would like watch reviews on, and he reviewed the 2014 G1. So that was kind of my introduction into knowing names. And then when Jim Ross did Wrestle Kingdom 9, I watched that show and I fell in love with Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah, so you're a Wrestle Kingdom 9 jump in. That's like one we always talk about on the show, like where New Japan gets people, and I always find it so fascinating. And like Wrestle Kingdom 9 with that JR call is like always, it's like one of the big ones. So,
yeah, I think that was a big one to get people actually onto the show. But I think that Nakamura match was the one that kept people coming.
Yeah,
because after that I went back and I watched his entire G1 2014, and then I just kept watching from there, and then obviously he left. So that was sort of just around the time where Ingo Bonabile Naito started cooking. So he without him or LRJ, I don't think I would have had enough to really sink my teeth into. But then when you've got that one guy you can really hitch your wagon to, you start falling in love with the Tomohiro Ishiis of the world and those sort of guys, and you just watch everything.
Yeah, it is really like the Nakamura to Naito thing is really real too. I feel like a lot of people took that path as far as like I feel like a lot of Naito fans were also really big Nakamura fans. They're very they I guess they're at similar positions in New Japan at the time, I guess, because Nakamura also was like that kind of 1B kind of guy with the Intercontinental, and then I don't know if Naito. I mean, no one knows what the answer to this is. What Nakamura would have done if he stayed, and how that would have. I mean, it would have been really interesting to see Naito and Nakamura active at the same time.
I think actually Nakamura leaving affected Omega more than Naito.
Yeah, that's probably.
I'm being honest.
That could be true too.
But that's crazy how that's nearly 5 years ago now.
Yeah, I know. Time waits for no man.
Crazy stuff.
But yeah, so that's the 2015 one though. That is like a big one. I feel like as far as what I've noticed, because I've been watching this stuff way too fucking long. As far as like what the jumping in points were, it feels like the big ones were G1 2013, because that was the first year they were all on Ustream. Like a lot of people jumped in there. The Wrestle Kingdom 9 with JR, a lot of people jumped in there. The obviously Wrestle Kingdom 11 with Kenny and Okada, a lot of people jumped in there. And then Wrestle Kingdom 12 because of the Kenny Jericho match, and then I don't know, a lot of people seem to jump in there too. It's like those are the really big ones, I think. So I think you're right with those. I mean, for the foreigners anyway. I don't know I wonder what it would be for Japanese fans. That would be interesting.
I would think that if you're a Japanese fan, you would be. I mean, this is just a theory, but I think you would be. I don't think you'd be a brand spanking new fan without having like a family member enjoy it.
Now it's on TV, so maybe
exactly.
Maybe they're finally getting.
Maybe it's going to change.
Yeah. I haven't really heard anything about how that TV slot is doing. So for people who don't know what I'm talking about, they got they basically went from a pretty bad time slot on their weekly World Pro Wrestling 1 hour show on a channel called BS Asahi to like a really good one, like a primetime slot. That happened, I believe, April or May. It was like right in the middle of the pandemic. Which is like,
announced at, I think it was announced around the Dome.
It was announced I think it was New Beginning in Osaka, I think.
Right, because I remember it was like, they've just done 70,000 people at the Dome. They're selling out of Sakuja Hall in February, and now they've just got this awesome new time slot. Like, they're on fire, and then they shut down for 6 months. Months, but
I think we talked about it at the time, so I'm not going to go through the minutia of explaining how Japanese TV works again. But a lot of people get that network. It's not as good, obviously, as being on primetime on the broadcast slot, which is still, or the broadcast network, which is still, like, I think, midnight or something, or even after that. But, like, it's like the next best thing. I mean, a lot of people get it. It's a free network. You know, it'd probably be similar to being on, I don't know what the American comparison would be. A network lots of people get, but isn't considered like a top tier network. I don't know. the TV like setup in America is so different compared to the TV setup in Japan, so it's hard to really directly compare them. But I think I read now that like 80% of the country or more gets this channel now. So
definitely. Well, yeah, that's exponentially better.
Yeah. So I mean, they're obviously in prime time a lot for their live shows on the TV Asahi Channel 2, but that's a different tier of network, basically, that you have to subscribe to specifically, you know. So a lot less people get that. I think it's like probably like, I'm totally guessing here, but probably like 15 to 20% at most. So anyway, that's I don't know why we got on that, but you know,
it's a 6-month-old TV, Japanese TV.
But yeah, I assume that they are probably they probably must be getting some new fans just from people turning through the dial and seeing it. So, but yeah, before that, you're probably right. It's probably mostly like friends and family of people who are already into it. You know, word of mouth.
Well, it's funny you say that because my friend who got me into wrestling, when we went to Japan a few years ago, I asked him because I didn't see any New Japan promotion around. You know, when we were in Tokyo or Osaka, and I was like, how do people know, like, it's getting bigger? How do people know what it is? And he's just like, it's mostly just word of mouth, and just family people getting other family into it and friends getting other friends into it.
Now, I know they do a big advertising campaign every year around Wrestle Kingdom now, where, like, they take over, I know this past year for sure, they took over, like, a lot of Yamanote line trains. Which, for people who don't know Japanese train lines, that's like the train line in Tokyo. Like, it does a big loop around all the major districts, or most of the major districts. So, you know, that's I mean, I'm sure that helped. I'm sure that reached somebody.
Yes. Well, that's only about 2 years old. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Or the 2 Wrestle Kingdoms old, I should say.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm sure there's, it probably is mostly word of mouth, but it looks like there's other ways to do it now, too. It is funny you said that you don't see any wrestling stuff. When I was in Tokyo, I saw a shit ton of wrestling stuff, but I realized in hindsight it's because, like, I'm in Tokyo for, like, you know, G1 Climax weekend or something, and it's like,
yeah, right.
Of course, there's just tons of wrestling fans all around Tokyo during this period who are wearing their shirts and stuff, even if they're not going to the show because or not going to the show right that moment because they're just in Tokyo, you know. But
yeah, well, as saying that, this was also, you know, probably around 2016 when it was still getting bigger, but it was nowhere near as big as it is now.
Yeah, I went in 2016 and 2017. I felt like I could see a difference from one year to the next. So, and then when I went in 2019, I felt like, I didn't. So when I went in 2019, I went to the Best of Super Junior final, which, you know, wasn't nearly as big of a deal as a G1, obviously. So, you know, I felt like not seeing quite as many shirts or stuff really wasn't that surprising. But then Osaka for Dominion, I mean, then you saw it everywhere around the city, you know, during those few days I was there. So, but yeah, I don't know. We're still really off topic. So, but that was a fun little 10 minutes here. Before we get into the topics today, I have to do a couple things. First of all, I said I would give the results of the G1 Climax Fantasy Draft from 2 weeks ago. So if people listen to that one, these are the final results. We did ranked voting, so you could pick anything from first to third. You got whoever you voted for first got 5 points, second place got 3 points, and third place got 2 points. So that's what these point totals are. I got a lot of people voting, so thank you to everybody that listened and voted. If you didn't hear the episode, I guess this won't mean much to you, but, you know, I said we'd do it right when the real G1 opens, so. In last place, I'll do it last to first. Last place is Andy with 50 points. Andy, congratulations on getting married, buddy. Sorry you finished last. Second to last, fifth place, was Suit with 56 points. He was, like, doing really well in the early vote tally, which surprised me because I did not think almost all non-Japanese G1 except for Master Wato was going to be very popular with the Omakase listeners, but I don't know. He did really, really well in the early voting. It was like right on my heels, and then I guess I just gave away that I won. But anyway, right on my heels. But he really fell off after that. So sorry, Suit. Good try. Fourth place was Kelly with 62 points. Third was Paul with 65. Second was Sean with 67. So all three of them really bunched up together there. And then I was in first place with 80 points. I don't know. I don't feel weird like patting myself on the back, but good job me, I guess. I definitely ran away with this one. Got kind of wire to wire too, so I don't know. People like my G1. I probably have a national advantage too, being the show host that's on here every week, but what are you going to do? But yes, those are the G1 Fantasy Draft poll results. If you didn't listen to the episode, of course, it's in the archives. It was from 2 weeks ago. I believe the number's 167, but can't keep track anymore with all the extra Patreon episodes. But yes, definitely from 2 weeks ago, definitely in the archives, so check it out. It was a really good time. And speaking of the Patreon, the other thing I need to mention is the Omakase Patreon. So, if you enjoy the tournament coverage we're going to be giving you here today, we're going to be doing the first 2 nights of the G1 and the second night of the N1. There's already a bunch of, or 2 episodes actually, Patreon exclusive tournament episodes from Tuesday, where we did the third night of the Champion Carnival, and then from Friday, when we did the opening night of the N1. So if you want to hear my thoughts on both those shows, those are on the Patreon right now. It's only $5 to sign up. And, I had a lot of things to say about the Ashino Miyahara match and All Japan's booking in general. So, very impassioned rant on that, which you can check out on the Patreon. And a lot of very positive things to say about the first night of the N1, which was awesome. So, those are both on the Patreon right now. In addition to your $5 also gets you a ton of stuff coming up, because we're going to continue covering all these tournaments on the Patreon too. So, tomorrow, Monday the 21st, we'll be having we'll do All Japan's Champion Carnival Night 4 from Korakuen. Tuesday has Noah's N1 Victory Night 3 from Korakuen. And then Wednesday's a humongous day with 3 shows on one day. The G1 Climax Night 3 from Sapporo, the N1 Victory Night 4 and Night 5, or whatever you want to call it, the Korakuen doubleheader with 2 shows. I'll have a guest on that. Thomas Fishback will be back, long-time Omakase guest, and we'll be doing it as like a Patreon exclusive full episode of Omakase covering all 3 shows. So that'll be up on Wednesday. And then Thursday, the New Japan G1 Night 4 from Sapporo. So just tons of stuff coming up on the Patreon this week. I definitely think it's worth your $5. Again, very biased, but I think we're putting out a lot of great audio content. And you get not just all that stuff, of course. You get everything else we do on there. All the Patreon exclusive 5 matches episodes. All the 1 match episodes I do where I cover a match and like all the different stuff surrounding it. We did the entire Okada Tanahashi series, the entire Naito Ishii series. So those are both a lot of fun to do. We did some other random ones that were picked by guests, or picked by patrons. So you get Anime Omakase, which, people really seem to enjoy. So tons of stuff on there. Only $5. Sign up now at patreon.com/Wrestling Omakase. All right, so with the plug out of the way, we can get into what we're here to talk about, which is 2 shows from the G1 and 1 show from the N1. We'll start with the G1. I'm assuming that's why most people are here, honestly, so always makes sense to start with New Japan. I assume I don't have to go over the rules or anything for the G1. I assume most people know how the G1 works, but I guess very quickly, just in case, you have 2 blocks of 10 people each. You get 2 points for a win, 1 point for a time limit draw. They're all 30-minute time limit matches. And 0 points for a loss, a double countout, or double DQ. The blocks this year: A block, Kota Ibushi, Jeff Cobb, Kazuchika Okada, Tomohiro Ishii, Will Ospreay, Shingo Takagi, Minoru Suzuki, Taichi, Jay White, and Yujiro Takahashi. The B block: Hiroshi Tanahashi, Juice Robinson, Hiroki Goto, Toru Yano, Yoshihashi, Tetsuya Naito, Sonata, Zack Sabre Jr., Kenta, and Evil. They went with a full 19-day tournament this year, which I know surprised some people. So, but the one concession they did make to the pandemic era is they did away with the undercard tag. So we only have each night it's still split blocks, so A block night and B block night. But instead of as we've seen in past years, since they did the split block format, where you'd have the tag matches with the B block guys and the A block shows, and vice versa, they got rid of those. So all you got is the 5 tournament matches and the one Young Lion match each night to start the show. So I guess, Harley, what do you think of that change? I think it seems to be getting universally positive reception.
Well, I mean, we've already spoken about my time zone advantage. So the undercard tags never were a massive issue for me, but I mean, a 2 hour or 2 hour 15 New Japan show is just so much more easily digestible. I think especially if you're going to watch all 19 of these shows, and I don't need to see Yano set up the wacky bullshit he's going to pull the next night in a 6-man tag. I don't really need to see.
Can I just say something? Like the people act like, oh, you're losing a lot here by not, like, I have seen this take, like people be like, well, you're losing the setup the previous night. The fucking wrestlers in the other block barely even tagged into these matches. Like, they just would let their partners who are not in the G1 work the entire thing. So I don't think we're losing anything, honestly. Maybe the promos, maybe. That's about it.
Right. The only time I think I was ever interested in those undercard tags is when in 2018 was when Naito and Sonata teamed with each other every night, but they were in the same block, so they eventually had to wrestle each other, and every night, they were fist bumping until the night before their match where they actually did something. I think that's the only time it was ever interesting, but that was just circumstantial. That wasn't anything really to do with how good these, undercard tags are.
Yeah, I don't miss them at all, so I'm definitely on that side. I mean, like I said, if Naito was working on, a tag, there were nights where, like, he would tag in for maybe a minute and, like, tag right back out, and it's like, these tours are hard enough on him. They're not going to do anything in these tags.
No.
So, I get, the only thing I get is, like, obviously the live fans, it's like, if you're buying a ticket, you want to see the stars from both blocks, but, like, so many of these cities are getting both blocks anyway. They're getting
they're double headers.
Yeah, they're getting 2 nights, so I assume that's why they did that. But because it seems like, I never remember in the past, like, I mean, obviously Osaka usually does get a doubleheader, but like
Sapporo 3 shows this year, but
yeah, that's true. They get 3 shows this year. Sapporo usually does not get a doubleheader, I don't think. Hiroshima, Hiroshima almost never gets a doubleheader. Trying to think.
I mean, like, then you've got places like Takamatsu who are probably lucky just to get one anyway.
Right. It's like, that's the exact point I was going to make. If you live in fucking Takamatsu, you're probably just happy to see a G1 show. You're probably not like, where's the other block? So, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. And funnily enough, I'm pretty sure they got an A block show. So, I mean...
Yeah, Takamatsu. They gotta, if Takamatsu's complaining, they gotta look up where they live. It's like, you live in Takamatsu, be happy. I just want to see now because I'm curious who got double cities. So Kobe only got 1, but Kobe's like
Osaka, right?
Yeah,
so
Kobe's like 25 minutes from Osaka. So if those fans want to see the other block, they can easily go to Osaka. Niigata got 1, I guess but they got their son Sonata, so I guess they're fine.
Yeah.
Hiroshima got 2. Okayama got 1. They're definitely in Be Thankful territory. Nagoya only got 1. That's a little surprising. Nagoya's a big city.
Nagoya get a lot of shows anyway. Like, they just got a show.
Yeah.
And I know you can make the argument Osaka just got a show.
Yeah.
But I mean, Nagoya gets a lot of shows anyway.
Yeah. Do they got A block or B block? Let me see. I think they got A. Oh no, they got B. It's a little surprising. But they did get they did get Naito Evo, which is a big main event.
Oh my goodness! But when Nagoya just got Evil Hiromu
that's
2 months ago, so maybe they are a little hard done by.
I like that match. Excuse you.
So did I. I gave it a 4.
That's exactly what I think. That's exactly what I gave it to. Hamamatsu only got 1, but again, you're Hamamatsu. And
I think it's a little surprising.
Yeah.
I mean, Shizuoka usually get a couple of, like, don't they usually get a Shizuoka City and then a Hamamatsu?
That's true. Maybe the other one got cut because they're doing all these extra shows and in all these other cities. And then last but not least, Yokohama, again, If they want to see the other block, they can hop a train and go to Sumo Hall or Korakuen. It's not like Yokohama is so close to Tokyo, so
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, there you go. We did our little geography lesson. But yeah, so the one block thing does not bother me at all. That's, I guess, the final message here. The first of the two nights, the first night of the G1, was Saturday, September 19th at the Edion Arena, Osaka, in the A block. Before I even get into any of the matches, I have to say, I've heard other people say this. Very true. The Osaka crowd, they were awesome here. I mean,
just run all their shows out of Osaka. Like, they were awesome last year. They're awesome every single time. It's definitely the common denominator that makes these shows.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's always been a great city for them. Honestly, I mean, I feel like it kind of dropped off a little bit in the last couple of years, but man, were they were up for the show, and they were about as good as a clap crowd can be. There were times where I thought they were actually making a little bit of noise that they were not supposed to be making, but
I think in one match they definitely couldn't help themselves.
So they were a great crowd though. Start with the Young Line opener here, which was Yota Tsuji versus Yuya Uemura. The result here was Uemura winning in 6:57 with the Boston Crab. This was about what you would expect, a fine little Young Lion match, a fun little opener. I would recommend watching it, especially since it was pretty short anyway. And again, the crowd was very into it, which always helps. But, went about 3 stars on it. Nothing like you're going to kick yourself if you missed it, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I would even just watch this for Tsuji's hair.
Tsuji's hair, that's true. He's the big fluffy hair he has now.
He is looking very good. And it's gotten to the point where I can't even remember what he used to look like. And his face just looks a little different to me too. Maybe he's just getting older.
Well, he shaved too, I think.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, that must be it.
But yeah, he looked good. So, match number 2 was the first tournament match of the year in the A block. Will Ospreay defeating Yujiro Takahashi in 7:34 with the Stormbreaker. So I'm not going to repeat myself about Will Ospreay every week. I know, everybody. It's very awkward. There's a pair of articles that Emily Pratt wrote that I would highly recommend. Honestly, I know not everybody loves that recommendation, but I thought she did a really good job at them, and I would recommend reading them. I mean, I would prefer if Will wouldn't be here. He is here. We're going to talk about his matches, but it is what it is. I don't know what else to say about it really, but.
Well, I think Trevor Dame said it perfectly on Twitter that you can absolutely separate the guy from the art here, and because if you like his matches, it doesn't mean you like him as a person. Yeah. Like I've never rooted for Will Ospreay ever. Like he's never a guy that I like fist pump when he wins, a big match. Like I just enjoy the matches, and that's why I don't think I probably go 5 or 4 3/4 on really any of his matches because I don't have that emotional connection to him. But I mean, he can shit out a 4 to 4.5 star match anytime, and he's not my favorite guy in the world.
Yeah, I mean, he's just I've seen a lot of people say they're going to skip his matches. I totally get that. If I didn't do this show reviewing them, I would probably be pretty tempted to too. But yeah, I get it. Like there is the thing of separating art from the artist. It's just everybody's going to deal with this their own way. The only thing I don't love is, what's the nice way to say this? If you personally don't want to watch New Japan anymore over this, that's fine. I find the level of like telling other people they shouldn't be watching and like moralizing to them to be kind of obnoxious, especially like from the perspective of like how much of our culture and how much our entertainment is as bad as New Japan, handled this, or much worse in other cases. Like, first of all, if you are a WWE Network subscriber and you're telling anybody else they have to cancel New Japan World and can't watch New Japan anymore, you're gonna fucking need to, I don't even know what. You're like as big a hypocrite as Mitch McConnell. Because like that company is a million times worse. I mean, they just fucking hired God, what the hell is his name? The Evolve pervert.
I want to. who cares what his name? I don't even care what his name is. But it doesn't matter. Like, yeah, exactly right. And I don't think you can expect people to actually know about a lot of this.
Well, yeah, that's true too.
If it wasn't for Voices of Wrestling, I don't think I would know, because I'm not very deep into the independent scene at all. And also, like, I don't want to say names or anything, but aren't there people in New Japan that have done worse than
I don't know, maybe, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it depends on what you would define as worse. I mean, Chase Owens is still there.
Well, Chase Owens is. I was thinking of one guy in particular, someone else in particular, who talks in a pretty low husk.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, it's just, if you don't like Will Ospreay, you don't like Will Ospreay. But that's not.
I just feel like if at some point this stuff always feels like punishing yourself, you know, like just making yourself not watch New Japan. It's like if you want to pirate it instead of giving them your $9 a month, that's fine too. But like, I don't know. There's a degree of like self-punishment that feels not really worth it when you look at just how much of our society and our culture is just filled with like there is, you know, no ethical consumption under capitalism, that whole thing. Like if you're gonna move to a hut in the middle of nowhere, then you could have a, you know, maybe a completely ethical life, but otherwise, you know, I mean, it's not. I'm not trying to make it sound like you shouldn't do nothing. I mean, definitely. I think the letter writing campaign people did where they were sending in messages to New Japan directly is a great idea. But, you know, there's a level of, like, you shouldn't punish yourself, I guess, is the best thing I can say about it. But, yeah, I'm not going to go into this every single week. I just wanted to, I guess, say it again because we're going to talk about his match here. About Will Ospreay's match, before we get into the actual match as well, Ospreay's wearing his Revolution Pro British Heavyweight title here. So that brought the question to me. Does that spoil the result of the match he has coming up on their next tape show with Kyle Fletcher, I think? Because that was taped already. So either that spoils this match, you know, that Ospreay's going to retain, or this is a WCW 1993 situation where he's winning a title that he already lost on a taping, and he just is still wearing it because him losing it hasn't aired yet. So he's going to mail the belt back from the UK, or back to the UK from Japan after they air him losing it. Is that what's going to happen? I mean, really, who gives a shit about the British Heavyweight title anyway? But it's just really kind of funny.
I know. I would absolutely say who gives a shit about the British Heavyweight title, but I have a feeling it's going to be like a mainstay on Tokyo Dome cards.
Yeah.
It's been on the last two, especially if Ospreay. I mean, I think Ospreay. I think it's a spoiler of that Carl Fletcher match, to be honest.
I really don't like the British title being involved in New Japan this much. I don't know, because it feels like especially during the Tanahashi Zack thing, it was like, why does Tanahashi even want this belt? It's like he doesn't go to Rev Pro that often. He doesn't have any like special connection to Britain. I just seem very. It always seemed weird to me that like Japanese wrestlers were like, you know, Suzuki and Ishii did it too, and it's like why do they care? I don't really understand. But like, why are they this into winning a Rev Pro belt? It was always very weird to me.
It's kind of like when Ishii won the Ring of Honor TV title, and didn't he cut a backstage promo afterwards saying, "I don't really know what this is."
Yes. Yes. Yeah. But that was really funny and also pretty stupid. But then now they just do that all the time with this British title, and it's like, well, I don't know. Either make it a New Japan title or send it back to Britain and like get the fuck off New Japan shows. Just seems very I don't know. It's like if you're a New Japan viewer like me and like most people, I'm sure, who doesn't watch Revolution Pro, you must just. It feels like you're always going to be like, why does this matter? Like, why am I supposed to care about this? So I don't know. But yeah, the match itself.
The match itself, yeah. Like pretty good.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like 3.5-star match. Like it was better than what Okada got out of Yujiro. I'll say that.
Yeah, for sure. I went 3.25. I thought it was pretty good. Like you said, especially on the Yujiro scale. The thing I would say about this match, though, like they spent all this time hyping up like muscular heavyweight Will, you know, and like makes you think he's going to wrestle a different style. And he pretty much wrestled the exact same style he always wrestles. Like I didn't notice anything. Did you notice him doing anything different? I really didn't notice anything different.
No, not really. And I actually thought the Stormbreaker kind of not as good as it has looked in the past when he's done it on juniors.
Yeah.
So who knows? Who knows how his weights have been going?
Yeah, but there were some cool spots here, like when Will went for like the Stormbreaker the first time and Yujiro like got out of it and like kind of tried to backslide him. But I thought he was gonna go for a pin. He kind of tried to like awkwardly transition into the pimp juice, but Will got out of it. But then like there was this Will like hit this big flying kick, and Yujiro like pulled him right back in for a big like Olympic slam, which I don't know if that's one of his normal signature moves because he has like 500 of them. But it is always really funny to me that a wrestler who never wins any matches has like 500 finishers and signature moves. It's like, why does Yujiro Takahashi need all these different moves? I do not understand it.
Well, he's a bad wrestler because he's got no connective tissue at all. He's only got his moves.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that one spot where Will landed on his feet into the hidden blade, I think that was pretty spectacular.
Yeah. That was after Yujiro, like, he hit the Miami Shine, yet another signature move. That got, like, a really close 2.9 count. And, Will, I guess, deserves some credit for letting the world believe Yujiro Takahashi might beat him. But then when, like, Yujiro hit that big lariat and went for another one of his 500 signature moves, like you said, Ospreay landed on his feet, and then he hits that hidden blade, diving form or whatever when Yujiro landed in a seated position. And then he just followed up right away with the Stormbreaker for the pin. Was a pretty damn good finish, and 3.25 is what I felt though, because I didn't think there was a ton to it otherwise.
Yeah, I really hated the promo afterwards.
Yeah, the promo sucked.
I thought it was extremely 2016 Omega, but I didn't think it was. I liked cleaner Kenny Omega. I didn't think this was nearly as good as those type of promos. I think all of Will's promos sound a lot like he is trying to sound like a wrestler. He's not like all of his, oh yeah, Will, like it sounds very. It sounds like fake tough guy.
It sounds very fake. I mean, the thing with Will with this promo. People thought maybe he was being heelish. I don't think he was. I think he's just bad at doing a promo. Like, I think his delivery was so bad that this promo sounded heelish because it sounded fake. It didn't sound like when he's like, I was nervous, but I looked in the mirror and realized I'm Will Ospreay, the best wrestler in the world right now. It didn't sound like he believed it. It just sounded like it was, something he was saying because he wanted to say it. Which is a heel thing to do, to say that you think you're the best wrestler when you don't actually think you're the best wrestler. So
he could have said that line, but he puts on that like inflection in his voice.
Yeah,
and I really hate it. It really bugs me.
Now I will say, saying New Japan's been good during the pandemic era, but it's so much better now that I'm back. That is kind of a heelish line, I guess. Or like, I don't think he meant it to be one, but it came off like with this smirk on his face. It was like, okay, buddy. I didn't miss you that much.
Yeah, neither did I really. But maybe he should just lean into being like an arrogant, sort of cocky foreigner.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe that's. I mean, his matches will get him cheered, I think. But who knows?
I mean, the Japanese crowd, you have to say, was very happy to see him.
They were happy to see all the returnees, though. They're happy to see Jay White.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They're very into Jay White, too. And so, yeah, I was definitely going to get to that. But, yeah, so, he just says this G1's about being the one, but you're looking at him and drops the mic. Like you said, very corny stuff. Wasn't really very into it, so what are you going to do? But, that was Will Ospreay. The next match, in much more positive developments, Taichi defeating Jeff Cobb in 12:47 with the Black Mephisto. I really liked before the match, like when Taichi is getting uncomfortably close to Marty Asami during the lip sync, and Marty like starts raising his hand up, like, "Please, sir, please leave me alone." Just very funny.
Taichi was really good before the bell in this match. Like, can you remember when he was unrobing and he still had that little pouch that has the glove in it, and he was like sort of squaring up to go. Like, ring the bell, and he still had it around his waist, like just trying to get away with it.
Oh yeah,
I thought that was a very funny, like really small little Taichi detail.
Yeah. The match itself, I would say, I like this a lot. I mean, I thought they had good chemistry last year too. so I wasn't too surprised, but it definitely was a really good start to the tournament for both guys. So Taichi started by stalling a bit, and then he grabbed the timekeeper hammer and nailed Cobb with it when he walked over. That was pretty much his only bout of cheating in the entire match. So I think he either went for a low blow or hit a low blow. But I mean, really, if people were worried Taichi was going to do a ton of bullshit or interference, that didn't happen at all. So, but yeah, he went after Cobb's leg. He was like stretching it over the railing. He went after a little bit, but it really didn't turn to a leg match or anything. We got the 5-minute call with Taichi still stomping on it. And he started with like these mocking kicks, which I always love when he does them. Like the very not quite hard enough to be a hard kick, just more mockery than anything. And it drew Cobb back up to his feet. And then Cobb finally came back with some elbow shots and a big lariat to put Taichi down. Probably the best part of the match for me was, obviously after Taichi pulled off the pants, which the crowd clapped extra loud to signal their approval of, which I liked a lot. But this is where Cobb really got to do is really show off some of his stuff, where Cobb catches his leg on a super kick, he pulls him up from there right under his shoulders and hits an attitude adjustment or FU, whatever you want to call it, and then a big standing moonsault, so he gets to show off his agility too, and that gets a close 2.9 count. And then everything after this was awesome. Cobb went for the Tour of the Islands. Taichi did a great roll up into a really close near fall. Here's where he did push the ref and go for the low blow, but Cobb did not get hit by it. He pushed him away. But then Taichi came right back with a huge, dangerous backdrop, dropped him right on his head. Just an awesome sequence. And then Taichi hits an axe bomber and goes for his last ride power bomb. And then Cobb sneaks out of it and transitions really seamlessly into these two awesome rolling gut wrench suplexes, which is not a spot you see every day, and it looked really impressive here. He tried to go right into a doctor bomb from there, but Taichi dropped out of it. I'd love to see Cobb finish with that, finish a match, beat a Yujiro or somebody with the two gut wrench suplexes and the doctor bomb, because it looked really cool. I'm sure it would look even cooler if he actually hits the doctor bomb at the end. Cobb came back with a big falling slam. He tried for the Tour of the Islands again. Taichi got out of it, hit a series of kicks, a super kick, and then finally the Black Mephisto for the pin. So he beats Cobb, pretty much completely clean. I mean, other than those hammer shots at the very start, I guess, want to hold it against him. But yeah, I thought this took a little bit to get going, but once it did, it ruled a lot. I would go 3 3/4. Didn't quite go the full 4, but I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I really like this one too. I went 3.5, but on the complete other end of the 3.5 spectrum as the block opener.
Mm-hmm.
I think this, people always say, is the idea of Cobb is actually better than Cobb itself. But if this is going to be Cobb, he's going to have his third match from the top, 10-minute G1 match, then this is completely fine with me.
Yeah, I thought Cobb looked great here. Honestly, I mean, everybody knows I love Taichi, and I thought Taichi was great, but Cobb looked, he looked better than he has in a while to me.
And I thought the crowd was really into both these guys too.
Yeah, I think
more so than Cobb usually. I think, remember that first tag league when Cobb first came in and he did some really cool power stuff and he got himself over. I think this is the first time where people have actually kind of been impressed with some of his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's just they haven't seen them for so long. But this sort of felt like a Cobb, not a coming out party, but definitely a bigger deal than I have been before.
Yeah, I think so too.
So watch him get 6 points now. So.
I think he might actually end up with 6 points in this block, but I guess we'll see. The next match, Minoru Suzuki defeating Tomohiro Ishii in 13 minutes. I don't know what I just said. With the God-style pile driver. I mean, I don't know what else to say about this one except they beat each other's fucking asses. I mean, Jesus Christ, this match.
This was awesome.
Yeah.
This is G1 season, baby. We are here.
I mean,
yeah. This isn't just this was better than some of their other matches.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because Suzuki was legitimately pissed off he wasn't in it last year.
Suzuki's also been awesome all year long, too. So.
He's been awesome all year. He's been awesome, actually, ever since last year's G1.
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
he was, man. It's like he just came out to prove something. He was like saying, the fuck you to Okada and Ibushi, like follow this.
Yeah.
And no one could. It was so good. This really was like perfect G1, perfect never sort of match.
Yeah, in 13 minutes, it was a total sprint. They basically just never stopped beating on each other. There was
that sequence.
Well, there was a great spot, right? Yeah, right at the start where they start each other by immediately elbowing each other in the face as hard as they can. But there was a spot after that I really liked where Ishii gets the edge briefly and he runs into Suzuki in the corner, but Suzuki climbs out onto the apron with his legs, right as basically, I mean, climbing out with legs. Most people do that, but upside down basically, and
tarantulas, kind of.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Like how he sets up for the tarantula.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And then he got the tarantula when Ishii ran in, grabbed him from there right into the armbar. And it's the shit this man is able to do at 52 is ridiculous. I mean, that was just some crazy shit when he did that spot. I was like, how the hell does this man still move this well? It is really crazy.
Some of those headbutt spots as well, just real cringe-inducing sort of stuff. There was that Ishii, when he gets forearmed when they exchanging forearms, and he his shoulders go up, and he grimaces, but he never falls. That is perfect selling. And when people say Ishii doesn't know how to sell, well, they don't really say it so much anymore. But
very stupid
people. That is perfect selling. Have you ever been in a sports match or a fight where you get a stinger or you hurt yourself? It's not the end of you. You try and pretend it doesn't hurt, but it hurts so much that you can't help it.
Yeah. I mean, the whole sequence, like you said, where he has nothing left and just staggers forward with this really weak elbow attempt and misses completely. That was right around the 5-minute mark. That was so awesome.
That was only 5 minutes in.
Yeah, that was only 5 minutes in.
My goodness me.
Yeah.
Oh, what a match.
But yeah, I'm just scrolling through my notes here to find more. I mean, there's so much stuff I could talk about here. Towards the finish, Suzuki tries for the gotch. Ishii picks him up onto his back and just fucking drops him right on his head with this sick reverse pile driver. I mean, I don't know if this is the greatest spot to take. Sorry?
If you look at that closely though, it's pretty safe. Suzuki lands pretty safely.
Okay.
It's most shoulders and back. It's because his legs are always in the air.
Right.
His legs are never in the air, so when he takes a bump like that, he looks folded up.
And, Suzuki had been smiling a lot during this match, especially when Ishii was beating his ass. But then, around the 10-minute mark, when Ishii, hit a sliding forearm and then an enzigiri, Suzuki was not smiling anymore. Now he was pissed. And, he basically was okay, I was fucking with you, but now I just have to finish this match off, basically. And, Ishii, hits, a big lariat in the ropes, but Suzuki goes behind him and gets this cool little, sleeper takedown. I think he basically, grabbed him around the waist and just, and a rear waist lock and just, took him down right to the mat and then got the sleeper. That looked pretty cool. It's, a very different way from how he normally gets the sleeper. He went for the gotch power driver again, but Ishii backed by dropped his way out of it. The two of them started trading these really hard slaps to the face, which was getting oohs and ahs out of the crowd, even though they're not supposed to, which we talked about earlier. This crowd was not supposed to be doing that, but they couldn't help themselves.
They couldn't help themselves. Yeah. That's a legitimate visceral reaction.
Yeah.
And that's how you know, yeah. That's how you know it was a great match. I think one thing that's also helped Suzuki in this COVID period is he's not probably been allowed to do any crowd brawling.
Oh yeah, that's true too.
That doesn't really that doesn't water down. Doing crowd brawling once every so often is good. But when that's his go-to thing, I think it makes it not as good.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think of that. The lack of the crowd brawling. But yeah, Suzuki eventually gets the better end of that slap exchange and drops him. He goes for some kind of sliding big boot that honestly didn't look that great, but I mean, really, who cares after all this other stuff? And then Ishii hit a big lariat. Suzuki got up and was laughing again. Ishii hit another lariat. He went for the brainbuster, but Suzuki rolled the momentum back down and then hit the God style power driver. That looked so cool, and that got the pin. Yeah, obviously it's fucking ruled. Like I said, there's probably a couple spots you could nitpick with, but these two just killed each other. Exactly what you expect for this kind of awesome sprint. I went 4.25 on this.
I also went 4.25. Now, John, obviously these two guys didn't come up with their prestigious belts. I can absolutely imagine why Ishii didn't come out with his, but I can't remember. Can you remember if in 2017 when Suzuki was the Never champ, he came out with the belt then too?
I don't remember honestly. He probably did, but it was really weird. Like who came out with their stuff on this? I mean, none of the Never 6-man champions came with their belts.
Yoshi came out with his 6-man belt.
Oh, you're right. So only one. It is a big accomplishment to him.
Yes.
But yes, it's funny. They didn't come out their belts, even though this is you forget it's never versus never here. So, but yeah, I mean, Kenta came out with that fucking red briefcase, which we'll talk about. But I laughed so hard when he came out with that thing. Like, could you imagine Kenta going through fucking customs and like flying back to Japan with this giant, ugly red briefcase?
That says IWGP US title challenge certificate.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine the confusion on some of those customs people. Like, why don't you just bring the certificate? Why do you need a briefcase for it?
And why are you bringing it from the U.S. to Japan?
And why is it red? Why is it the most garish shade of red? Imagine.
It's so funny. I don't know. It is really... It's a terrible briefcase, and it's like... just imagine him having to fly all the way to Japan with this thing. Really made me laugh. But, I mean, it's not like... John Moxley's not in Japan. It's not like you'll be able to use it on him while you're there. It's like, why did you...
out with it. I mean, we'll get to. I guess we'll get to it. But I assumed he's going to use that as a weapon, but he didn't even touch it.
You're right. I didn't even think of that either. Yeah,
he didn't even touch it.
I mean, he probably will use it on like Tanahashi or Naito or somebody.
Yeah, true.
The semi-main event. Speaking of people who like to use all sorts of things, Jay White defeating Shingo Takagi in 1928 with the Blade Runner. So okay, let me try to explain my thoughts on this. I thought this match fucking ruled. I don't really even know why the interference didn't bother me as much here. I've been trying to figure that out myself as I went along. Maybe there's a point with Jay White. Like last year in the G1, I was really fucking sick of Jay White. I really and maybe the interference will really grate on me eventually in this one too. But maybe it's just the fact that we haven't seen Jay White in New Japan proper in many months. That didn't really bother me. You know, there's a honeymoon period. But I also think I just think Jay White's like his actual wrestling before the interference kicks in has just gotten so much better that maybe I'm just willing to overlook it. Because like his like he's always been a good wrestler at what he does. Like, you know, the counter stuff he's good at. He takes a lot of great bumps. He's pretty damn good at selling. But the biggest problem I always had with him, you know, since this run started, was his offense. I always thought his offense, I don't know, like his moveset was...
Offense? Is that what, like when he's controlling?
Right. Like, I always thought his moveset was kind of boring, not very interesting, and, you know, he had a tendency to have dull control periods or, like, you know, not do a ton of interesting stuff. But his offense has gotten so much better. I mean, a lot better, I think. So, you know, maybe I'm more willing to overlook the interference and stuff when, you know, the rest of the match is just so good, which this one was, I thought. I mean, I thought this was an awesome match. But yeah, I don't know if you have any different thoughts on the interference versus the wrestling.
I thought it was a great match too. I went 4 on it, but I have a higher propensity for bullshit, mainly in New Japan, because, well, in WWE, they book themselves into such shitholes because the show gets torn up every fucking minute, it seems like. So they book matches that they don't actually want people to win. So that's why they put in so much bullshit and so much, you know, DQs and so much of that stuff. In New Japan, it's like they don't care if Shingo loses clean to Jay White. It's a vehicle to get Jay White over, and like live crowds are still New Japan's #1 resource, right? So I don't think they expect people to be watching every single one of these shows. So that's why they do the same bullshit in every city, is to get it over to that live crowd. It's like, you know, remember in Jay White's first G1 in 2018, it was the exact same ref bump chair spot every single time. and it was for the sole purpose of getting him over in every city and establishing that is his character. Where it's not. If I thought, oh, they didn't want to beat Shingo, so why would they book this match? Then I'd be angry at the ref bump and at the bullshit. But because it's an actual vehicle for storytelling, I don't hate it as much.
Yeah, I totally get. And look, if we're gonna end up with like 2 people in the G1 doing this, like 1 in each block, which it seems like we are based on how these first 2 nights went, I can deal with that. It's like if you have Jay and Evil and Kenta and Taichi all doing it, it would probably get a lot older very quickly. But like 1 in each block, and doesn't really bother me. But
and I think it can definitely add to a match too. It definitely adds to the drama. Like if you really like a guy going up against Jay White or going up against Evil, and he's got the win, and then Dick Togo or Ghetto or whoever pulls the ref out, doesn't that make you like good angry?
Yes, I agree. Well, there's a thing where people don't want to be marks anymore. You know, they don't want to get mad at like the wrestlers for cheating, or they just want to get mad at the promotion. So I get it.
And I get so angry at the wrestlers cheating.
Yeah, I mean, I allowed my, especially in New Japan, I'm much more willing to go with the flow, I guess, and get mad at the wrestlers and be like, who's booking this shit? But anyway, I have to point out, by the way, first we had the Pro Rezo, the King Suzuki. Then we had the Holy Emperor Taichi. Now we have King Switch. It's like, how many rulers can one fucking company have? It just seems like there's...
We need to change up the nicknames, I think, or we need to send them through a quality control first.
Yeah, really. Gato looked so happy, by the way, to have Jay White back. It was actually kind of cute. But and then Red Shoes tried to get between them when they were going to do their pre-match too sweet, and then White's like, "Everybody's been waiting 6 months for this, Uno."
Let me tell you, I thought Jay White is such a fucking megastar.
Yeah, I mean the promos too. If people are not watching the promos, where he might be the best heel promo in wrestling. I mean, I don't really think that's a stretch.
Maybe.
I'm sorry.
He might be best. He might be pretty close to the best promo.
Yeah. Like
who comes sort of close to him?
Yeah, there's some guys in Japanese that are really good. I think Naito's really good. Hiromu's really good. Huh?
I think Naito's really good too because I can actually understand him because he speaks at slower cadence. But so I guess I mark him highly. But in terms of English speakers, I don't really know who sort of grabs my attention quite like Jay White.
Yeah.
And he looks fucking good too. He's ripped out of his gills.
I mean, he definitely ticks all the boxes for like...
And as you said, his matches have gotten better. Like, his connective tissue.
Yeah. I mean, his transitions are way better, like, between moves, that's for sure. Like, and, you know, this match, you know, it started out with like a headlock sequence that was actually kind of fun. You know, then, you know, Jay was very funny, just mocking the crowd's clapping throughout the entire match and even before the match, because like we said earlier, the crowd was very happy to see him when he came out. So like, you know, for as much as he cheats or whatever, the crowd definitely missed this man, and he was like mocking their clapping right away. But yeah, then he like dropped Shingo with this like really nasty backdrop suplex onto the apron. Then when they get back to the ring, you know, Jay White was like stretching him against the ropes and then choking him on the ropes. And he went for the cover, and Red Shoes wouldn't count the pin. And Jay got mad and was like, "People do way worse. Why is that not a cover?"
And that plays into like the actual, well, my headcanon at least, of why people don't get disqualified when they get disqualified.
Yeah.
Like, so it's just ticking all the boxes, proving me right. Really,
it's just, I don't know why that line like really cracked me up. I was laughing so hard, but yeah, he was so angry at Red Shoes.
That is a very good Jay White trait as well. He always like he's constantly in character.
Yeah,
when he's in shows, like all of his little jabs and barbs, they're all by Switchblade. They're not by Jay White, the 26-year-old New Zealand guy. I
will say it was very hard to see him as a heel when he was showing up on Strong in his Black Lives Matter shirt. But you know, he felt very. I mean, the man feels sincerely about that. I get it, but like, you know,
and when he's owning Flip Gordon on Twitter,
I know,
he's an idiot.
But yeah, Shingo made a big comeback after that, and like he'd been getting worked on forever. And Jay was like pulling his hair, so I like that Shingo like pulled Jay by the hair too, like to get him back, and then started like forearming him, and then tossed him by the hair. Like the Divas match circa 2006 hair tosses. But then like he hit a big lariat over the ropes to the floor. He did the Tenru combo on the floor, and then just kind of started throwing punches while White like was desperately covering up. I thought that was a great little sequence. But yeah, I mean, like there's like this quick little counter sequence back in the ring with Shingo getting this front suplex, but then Jay came back with his awesome snap backdrop, which I love that move. That's one I think he's had that for a little while now, but that move always looks really good.
Saito suplex.
I'm sorry.
The Saito suplex.
Yeah, the snap Saito suplex. Yeah.
That's his best move, I think.
Then we got this like nice little strike sequence that ended with Shingo finally being able to get the Noshigami after he had tried a couple times earlier. Jade, like I thought, put this little strike combination, which I thought was a new thing for him. Like it was, I don't think I've ever seen him do that before. But it was like a bunch of like little elbows and like forearms all together in a row. But Shingo basically no-sold it anyway.
Sorry, do you mean like you don't remember that Nakamura little strike combo that he
used to do?
Yeah, no, I think he's done that before.
Okay. But Shingo no-sold it and like dropped him with a lariat. And then Jay, he pushed the ref into Shingo to give himself an opening, hit this big deadlift German and this huge Uranage. Those looked really good together, like back-to-back especially, and that got a 2 count. Shingo came back with his like alternating elbow strikes, and Jay did So I went to MSG in 2019 with my girlfriend, who's not a big wrestling fan, and she called the Jay White like where he sits down to refuse to take a move, basically as like the "I'm baby" counter, because it's just like Jay White being like I'm sorry.
Well, it is. It's what it is.
Yeah, he's kind of like I'm baby. Can't hit me with the move because I'm baby. But yes, he avoided the pumping bomber that way. But Shingo was ready for it though, because he like kind of just bounced off the ropes to the other side. Yeah, when he hit the sliding forearm to the back. So.
And then he hit the sliding pumping bomber as well, like straight after.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jay babied. Then it's when he sat up and started pointing at his head like I'm smarter than you. Shingo hit the forearm, and then when Jay's selling that forearm hit, then he slides in for that clothesline that he wanted to do originally.
Yeah,
I thought that was just such a smart, well thought out sequence.
Yeah, for sure. He went for the main Japan, but then he like turned it into this like really cool gutbuster variant instead when Jay kept trying to block it. It's like the counter wrestling here is a little more subtle than you'd usually see in a Jay White match, but I really liked it. So we got like the 15-minute call around there. Shingo like tried to pull Jay up by his head, and this is where like the bullshit started, I guess you could say. Gato got up on the apron to distract Shingo, and Jay tried to roll him up with his feet on the ropes, but Red Shoes, saw it and stopped counting. Shingo hit a lariat, but Jay came right back with this like snap half Nelson suplex and the Kiwi Crusher for a 2 count. Jay gave us the throat slash and went for the Blade Runner, but Shingo pulled his hair again to block, which is a very subtle little thing, the hair pulling that continued throughout the match. And Jay like elbowed him repeatedly to try to get it, but Shingo countered to the Made in Japan for a close 2.9 count. And you could hear the crowd doing the foot stomps at this point because they really like this match. That's what it means, by the way, when Japanese fans do the foot stomps. It's like, this match is so good, basically. And then Shingo went for the Last of Dragon. Jay grabbed on the referee to get off his shoulders. Gato tried to come in with the brass knuckles, but Shingo like elbowed him out of the way. Then we got like the Last of Dragon he went for the Last Dragon again. Jay grabbed on the ropes to block it. His legs took out the referee just as Shingo hit it, and he got the visual pinfall, but there's no referee. I think that's kind of a big deal for Shingo to even get a visual pin over Jay White. That's a top-level guy that he's basically, quote-unquote, should have beaten. So it makes me wonder if he might get, like, a big, like, a real win. It wouldn't surprise me if he beats, like, a Kota Ibushi later on, maybe. But
yeah, I think Shingo's definitely going to have some wins, like some decent scalps in this tournament, especially where I think his dome is going. But yeah, it's interesting now. That's two big Bullet Club guys that have been visually beaten. Well, actually, three if you count Kenta in the USA shows. Three of the heavy Bullet Club hitters that have been visually beaten, and the ref's been down.
Yeah. And then Jay hits the low blow on Shingo. Gets the Regal Plex for the bridge. Shingo kicks out too. He hits like, I don't know what was it, like a cross arm brainbuster maybe, or was like
it looked kind of like a
was supposed to be like a cross arm Bloody Sunday.
Yeah, he's been doing that a bit too. Like as his absolute, I'm sick of you now.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do this. Then like you. There's no way you can get out of the Blade Runner.
Yeah, I like that move a lot. That's really cool. Then he hits the Blade Runner, and that's the pin. So yeah, I could see some people hating this because of the usual Jay White stuff, but I thought this was pretty awesome. I already talked kind of about why I thought it was so much better now, but Jay is like such a smooth wrestler. He's so good. He's a huge star, like we said. I can overlook more of this than in the past. Maybe if we're on match 8 of 9, where he's still doing it in every single match, it might get old at that point. But at this point, I'm still pretty into it. So I went 4 1/4.
Oh yeah, I went 4 flat. I think as I said before about my propensity for the bullshit, I do think though we need to get a little bit more creative with how we get Red Shoes out of there. Like that like getting blown over by the breeze. It's so bad. Like it looks so. And I know he's an old man, but come on, he's like. Can we squash him somehow? Like I don't know how to do it. The wrestlers are smarter than me at wrestling. They can come up with more creative ways to get him out of there if they need to get him out of there.
Yeah. But yeah, so awesome semi-main. At this point, the show is already a big success for these 2 4 1/4 star matches, and also Cobb and Taichi. Here's a match where I wonder if we might disagree at all. I haven't seen your takes on this. The main event, Kota Ibushi defeating Kazuchika Okada in 21-35 with the Kamigoe. I thought this was not very good, especially for a big first night main event. I did not enjoy this. I can go through all the specifics of why I didn't enjoy this and what my issues with it were. And I think there is kind of a firestorm around this match, which I want to talk about as we get through it at the end, and like some of the alternate theories and arguments going around. But the match itself, I mean, it felt like the easiest way to say it is the opening 10 minutes was like the opening 15 minutes of the Tokyo Dome main event, which is to say it's pretty dull, not a ton happens. Just really, like, there was one point where, like, my note here is, there's no, like, I'm just reading verbatim from my notes. Very slow. Still very slow. Just nothing going on in this match so far. I'm yelling, when does this get good at my TV screen? Like, really, just was not into that at all. The problem is, what's bailed out that Tokyo Dome match was everything after that 15-minute mark was so fucking spectacular that I don't think you can call that a bad match, even though, obviously, the first 15 minutes were incredibly boring. I ended up going 4 1/4 on the Tokyo Dome one. I don't blame people at all for going like people, obviously a lot of people have it at like, a full 5 or close to it, and I get it. I just can't go that high on a match that, like, was so boring to me for the first 15 minutes, and this one again for the first 10 minutes was just as boring. The problem with this match is I don't think it ever got to that level of the Tokyo Dome match, or even really remotely close. So it has the boring starting part, but then, like, not nearly enough of the spectacular stuff. And, like, so much of that second half is based around the fucking money clap and that stupid fucking Cobra Clutch. And it's like, it's just not a good move. It's not interesting. It's not a fun story to watch play out. If I'll talk about the theories of that after. But, like, it's just not, it doesn't make for a good match. It just does not make for an entertaining match. It makes for a boring match. It breaks up any momentum in the last 10 minutes they had going finally. This just wasn't that good. I went 3 stars. I mean, that was the rating I gave it. I thought this was between the length and, like, how much I didn't enjoy. I thought this was slightly worse than Ospreay and Yujiro. So I did not like this at all. So a very, I'm going to get your thoughts before I go into more thoughts, I guess. What did you think of this one?
Sure. Well, I just looked up what I gave their D1 match last year. And I think I went 4.5, and I think that's probably on the low side.
I went 4.5 on the G1 match last year too. I think.
I went 4.5 on the Tokyo Dome match as well for the exact reasons that you said. I didn't think this was as boring as the start of this was as boring, and I didn't think this got as spectacular. I thought this was still pretty great. I thought Ibushi was pretty amazing in this. Okada is, for whatever reason, probably doing this. I don't really care about wrestling story at the moment, which I think we'll get into the story of this Okada thing, I guess, soon. But yeah, I still think this was great for a non-G1 main event. I thought it was still pretty overwhelming, but I would have had it more in that 4.25 range. I can't call this just a good match. Like, to me, this is still a pretty great match. Mostly just for the Ibushi stuff. Like, that step up on the apron, moonsault he did is like that's pretty spectacular. The story that they told, where Ibushi was just killing this guy that he lost to in the biggest match of his life, and he just like sort of almost just ran through him, really. Like, and he said that in his post match that he didn't even really need to go full effort. Which, again, I don't know if this is the best Okada story to tell.
Yeah, so let me address that, because so where is this a work and where is this a shoot is, I guess, the big debate. And let's talk about that. So you start out the year, obviously has 2 awesome matches at the Tokyo Dome. I think very few people would argue with that.
And I think this pandemic might have hurt this Okada story, because who knows what was going to happen in between the New Japan Cup that was originally scheduled for March to now. Maybe there would have been some more interesting story beats along the way. But I think when you haven't seen New Japan for 4 months and you want the Rainmaker Kazuchika Okada, and that's not the story they're telling, maybe he looks probably worse than what he actually is. I still think he had a decent New Japan Cup. I didn't hate the match with Evil at the New Japan Cup final.
I fucking hated that match. I really did.
I didn't hate it as much. That was fucking in July. But why did I even bring it up? But the Kazuchika Okada Pro Wrestling tournament is wacky and goofy, but it's so similar to the 2018 Balloon Okada. There has to be a different story you can tell when the guy loses his belt and he just loses his mind.
Yeah. I don't know. I just don't think they've done a good job telling the story they're trying to tell. And maybe, like you said, some of that is the layoff, but he didn't even mention really. Okay, so let me just go over this. So he loses obviously the titles to Naito. He goes right into a feud with Taichi. He beats Taichi, so that doesn't even say anything about it.
He beats Taichi with the Rainmaker, right? Yeah. No different.
Yeah. So we come back from the break. Suddenly he's obsessed with this Cobra Clutch. He makes it to the final of the New Japan Cup. He loses. He tells Tokyo Sports he doesn't care about the double titles anyway because he thinks the heavyweight belt being tied to the Intercontinental is devaluing it. So you think that's going somewhere. But then he's like, well, anyway, I'm just going to go do this KOPW thing. He feuds with Yujiro Takahashi, which, granted, very hard for anyone to get anything on Yujiro. I get it. Ospreay got a better match out of him on this night than Okada did in 2 months. I mean, that you have to say that, I guess. But it is very difficult. But yeah, he's obsessed with this fucking money clip thing for really no adequately explained reason. He loses in the final of his own tournament to a Yano low blow and roll up. So he loses his title that he came up with. Doesn't seem to care about that either. He just goes backstage and is like, oh, well, I don't know what I'm going to do. See you later. He doesn't seem to care at all that he didn't win the title he came up with. He loses that fucking never 6-man tournament in the finals, too. So he's lost, if you count the mini tournament, he's lost 4 tournament finals. But he doesn't seem to care at all. So it's why am I, as a fan, if this is the storyline they're telling, I don't understand why I, as a fan, am supposed to care about it when Okada doesn't seem to care about it. So I just don't think, if that's the story they're going for, I just think they've done a very poor job actually telling that story and actually making it come across in a way that we're supposed to care. He doesn't give a post-match promo here either. Maybe he'll talk about something about his... But I don't know. Like, even the 2018 one, I never felt like he... It doesn't feel like the character is ever vulnerable enough, even when he's not winning, as his natural state is, like, kind of winning everything, basically.
Right.
I don't know. It doesn't connect with me at all.
I think that's also the problem. Like, I think this story could be a lot more interesting if he was just given if he was the first match on every block and he was sort of just going through his motions. He loses to the Okadas. He can lose to, I don't know who else is in this, Jay White and Suzuki and whoever. But, he's still tapping Yujiro out with the stupid money clip. And he's still tapping Jeff Cobb out with it or whatever. But, like, he's been stuck down the card. But the problem is he's Kazuchika Okada. He needs to be at the top of the card, which doesn't really work for this I don't really give a shit story.
I mean, honestly, I don't think he does. If I was New Japan, before the belts were separated, he should have had a run with the Intercontinental and just been the 1B for a little while. You could put him with fucking Goto and let him have a tag title run. Like, just do something with him that's other than either the unbeatable ace forever, which obviously got boring, which is why we're here, or the, Okada's broken Okada once again. It just feels like there has to be something other than these two stories to do with this guy. Just let him do something else for a little while. It's not like he's super old and you can't go back to him, but it just feels like we need to do something else other than either he's the absolute top champion or he's broken Okada who can't get the job done anymore. Like, just do something else with this guy. Just let him go be tag champion for 6 months. Like, what would be the problem with that?
Yeah, I agree. But like, why would he want? Like, if he doesn't want the Intercontinental, why would he want the tag team?
I mean, he went for the fucking never 6-man titles for no reason.
I guess he did. Yeah, with his buddies. Maybe that's what. Maybe he's being fueled by friendship at the moment.
Yeah, I just want them to. I have a real bad feeling he's going to come back from this and win this G1, and I really hope they don't go in that direction because it would be the most boring thing they could do.
That is a really, really boring story. If I'm putting my fantasy Booker's cap on, I don't have him winning this G1. I have him getting his revenge at Evil at the Dome.
Yeah.
And say what you want about that match, but I think they have sort of. I
mean, Jay White should win this G1. I mean, that's.
I know who I want to win the G1.
Oh, who?
And it's the Cold Skeleton.
I mean, I'd be fine with that too, but I think
I like that story because I'm a disgusting mark.
Yeah.
But I don't really want to see Jay White Naito again.
I don't know. I'd be fine with it, but.
Yeah, it'd be if they go different. I mean, it would be obviously a different story route. But if Okada wins this, it's going to be so boring. I think it also dilutes just the gravity of Naito finally beating him last year.
Yeah,
like his 7-year quest to finally get over the hump and beat him at the Dome, and he's the first ever double champion, and he's just going to he's your first challenger at the Dome. But
yeah, so the other thing I want to touch on too is the debate is, is it all working with Okada? He doesn't care or that he isn't at that level anymore, or is he actually slowed down? I honestly think the answer is in the middle. I think if you didn't watch it, there was a G1 Climax documentary last year in 2019, and you can see Okada after some of these matches where he can barely move. And especially can barely move his neck. And I feel like that's very noticeable if you look for it in these matches this year. I'm not saying it means he's, fucking paralyzed the way people act like Naito is. But, he clearly has had a lot of wear and tear on his body doing these 30 to 50-minute matches for, I don't know, 8 straight years now. I mean, he's been, at the top of the card, basically, this entire time. And, obviously that's going to add up to anybody. He's not that old, but, he's got a lot of miles on that body right now.
His body is older than his actual age.
Yeah. So I don't think he's... to be clear, I don't think he's so broken down he can never go again. But I do think he has to pick his spots a lot more. And I think he's taking full advantage of this storyline to, Okada from 4 years ago or 3 years ago or even 2 years ago probably would still be working at a much higher level during a storyline like this. Whereas I think Okada in 2020 views this as a great time to not try as hard. And I don't think he tried as hard in this match as he did in prior matches with Ibushi. I don't think he's tried at all against Yujiro, and I don't blame him. But that's just where he is. I think it's part of part motivation. Maybe it's also just harder for him to get to get fired up by these clap crowds than it is for other people. But I do think part of it is like a physical wear and tear thing, and I just don't think I think it's all adding up. I don't think it's 100% storyline. I don't think it's like I don't think he's just working bad on purpose for the storyline, whatever. Other than the fact that Cobra Clutch sucks, obviously.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean,
he's not.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. I was just going to say, he's not working bad. Like, he's still nailing moves. And
well, there was one spot here that looked really bad.
Which one?
So he basically so I guess Okada looked like he was trying for a top rope tombstone, which that actually no, that was mostly Ibushi's fault, I guess. They were fighting with this top rope tombstone. Like Ibushi hits a slap to the chest and tries for the springboard Rana, but he's trying to springboard from the top rope to Okada on the top rope, but he almost falls down. So he doesn't really get the Rana on, he never really makes contact with his legs on Okada's head, and Okada has to leap into the Rana. So I don't know.
Yeah, I just chalked it up sort of awkward timing.
Yeah, that wasn't really a good sign. That was more Ibushi's fault. Now I'm reading the notes back, but yeah, it wasn't a complete disaster, but it looked really stupid. So for such what should have been a spectacular spot. That was around the 15-minute mark. That definitely hurt the match, but
yeah, I don't think he's not missing spots. He's just working slower. Balloon Okada, he was working still at the Okada pace, but he was doing wackier moves.
Yeah,
to sort of get over how kind of broken in his brain he was. Whereas now he's just he's slower, he's disinterested, which is not as good of a story. But whatever. I
just don't like it as a story. I don't get why they're doing this again. It was just only 2 years ago we already basically did this story, and I don't know. They need to find something else for Okada to do. And
he's obviously going to have more title matches, or more title reigns in his future, which means he's going to have more title losses. And if this is the default post Okada title run, that story we're going to get where he's so lost. Can we think of something different for him, please?
Yeah, I mean, it is very come on. I thought the KOPW thing was going to be something different for a while, and that's now Toru Yano having a tiny trophy. So I don't know what's going on with that, and what Okada's going to be doing if he doesn't win this G1, which makes me think he's going to win this G1. But
that terrifies me.
Yeah.
I mean, the match with Naito would probably be really good at the Dome, but I'd much rather see him get his comeuppance over Evil at the Dome than win it.
Yeah, but overall, I mean, look, this to me was a flat ending to what was a really awesome show before that. So great start to the G1, but I would like this match to be a lot better.
Fair enough. I mean, I still thought it was a great match, but definitely underwhelming.
Night number 2, also from the Indiana Arena Osaka, that was earlier today. Sunday, September 20th. We open up with another Young Lion match, Yota Tsuji defeating Gabriel Kidd in 9:15 with a Boston Crab. This was better, I thought, than the first night's Young Lion match. This was these two actually had a little angle leading up to this. They got in a big fight backstage at the last Korakuen, I think. So that was kind of cool. They set this up with a little angle to heat it up. But yeah, there was some really nice mat wrestling early on. The Young Lion elbow exchange was even better than usual, and the crowd was super into it. Again, for the second straight day, just lots of strong strike exchanges in general. I mean, they went a little longer, a couple minutes longer than the last one too, and they just beat the piss out of each other. And then Tsuji tapped Kid out with the Boston Crab after hitting the spear. I went 3 1/4 on this. I thought it was a really fun opener and better than the Young Lion match from the first night.
I thought it was around the same, but I like those matches. It's I'm not saying this last night's was a 2.5, and 2 nights ago was a 2.5, and this was a 2 3/4. I'd say they're both around that, anywhere between 2 3/4 to 3 1/4, whatever your mileage may vary.
Yeah,
but I think Tsuji has definitely impressed this year, and I was not low on him, but I thought he was not the best guy in this Young Lion class, but he's definitely grown on me. And I think I know, his spot, like with Ren Narita, you knew he's going to be a junior sort of ace when he comes back. Shota Umino is going to be like one of the top players when he comes back. I sort of didn't know where Yota Tsuji would fall, and now I think he's just going to be a 15-year never title monster.
Yeah,
and I think that's perfectly fine for him.
Yeah, I think he has a lot of potential. So we'll see where that goes. But I think he's looked way better in the last year, I guess, or 6. Yeah, like a year, I guess, because he was a little awkward early on, but he really is picking it up now. Match number 2, Juice Robinson defeating Yoshihashi in 15:57 with the Pulp Friction. Of course, this was Juice's return to the company. His new look is very bizarre. He looks like he just got off a shift as a bartender at like a joint in DC that caters to like fat cat lobbyists or something. Like, that is literally the image I got in my head. Like, this guy is making drinks for like lobbyists in some fucking bar, probably called like Capital Grill or some shit. And it's like just very bizarre new look. But then he takes the jacket off and he's wearing like a wife beater in the ring, like as he wrestles for some reason. Very, very bizarre. I don't know what Juice was going for here. But
well, yeah, he's wearing like an amateur singlet under his black long tights that already aren't long enough anyway. But the singlet is supposed to give the impression of a wife beater. I think.
See. Okay, I didn't get that.
Like,
there you go.
Like a working class, because it's a Blues Brothers gimmick this time, which I don't know is probably better than the Russian gimmick he had in the World Tag League last year. But yeah, it's Blues Brothers, and I think Rich touched on it in our Slack that it's because he's from, I don't know how to pronounce it, so forgive me if you're from here, but Joliet, Illinois?
I don't know either, actually.
Joliet, maybe? I don't know.
I don't know either. Who the fuck knows?
Apparently it's a bit of a shithole, but the Blues Brothers was filmed there, or parts of it was filmed there, and that's sort of like, the town's big claim to fame. I think that's what he's paying homage to.
I see.
A little bit. So I think, yeah, I mean, I always think his looks are kind of funny. I think he pulls it. I think he can always pull them off.
Yeah. I don't know. This one he was pretty close to not being able to pull it off. This is the closest he's ever gotten to not being able to pull it off, I think.
I mean, 3/4 length tights with having leg sleeves poking out the bottom, those little shooter boots and a white singlet. And that hair, that like curly mullet,
yeah,
it's quite a powerful look. But hey, he's popular. He's popular.
He can do whatever he wants, I guess.
He can do whatever he wants. Yeah.
So he leads everyone in like stomping and clapping to the tune of "We Will Rock You," and that seems to be his thing he's doing.
That sounded great. Do you reckon that sounded really good?
Yeah, it was a lot. I mean, look, he had to come up with something since obviously they can't chant for him anymore, and he feeds off that. But yeah, it was pretty good. He's pretty inventive.
And the crowd organically did it as well for his comebacks.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't have to lead through it.
Yeah, well, they picked up on it quickly. Queen, I think, is pretty big there, so I'm not that surprised. But yes, so there's this match, early on, very basic, but like, not to say it wasn't bad. Not to say it was bad, it wasn't bad at all. But yeah, like, very, very basic early on, and surprisingly long for this, and like, a lot longer to expect for this, but I don't think it ever really dragged, is the thing. And Yoshihashi, I have to mention, he does this fucking suplex neck breaker in his matches, where, like, I don't understand this move. Why does lifting a guy from a suplex position and then placing them back down their feet behind you and then hitting a neck breaker make the neck breaker hurt any more than just hitting a neck breaker? It's like one of those wrestling moves that, like, doesn't even make sense to me in the logic of wrestling. Like, why would this hurt more? I don't understand. Just do a neck breaker. Why are you adding an extra step? Like, you're just dropping him on his feet anyway. It's not adding anything to the move.
John, Yoshihashi's got one of the worst movesets in professional wrestling.
He does. It's terrible.
I mean, everything is like, as you said, it doesn't make sense in the fabric of wrestling. In the universe of wrestling, it doesn't make sense. It looks kind of it looks kind of shitty. Like when he does that draping, he drapes them over the top rope and then he runs in and like drop kicks them.
Yeah,
those guys have to launch themselves halfway across the ring to make that look any good. And it's like the butterfly lock sucks.
Oh yeah, the butterfly lock is the worst fucking finisher in wrestling.
I mean, we just spoke about the money clip, but that move stinks. It's very funny. He's a very, very funny wrestler in that he's boring, kind of. He comes out and he looks like he's got no confidence in the world whatsoever. He's the only 6-man tag champion that comes out with that belt because it's his pride and joy, and it's his first belt in his
8 fucking years.
8 fucking.
Because he came back Wrestle Kingdom, whatever number it is, the 2012 one, 6, I think. So the same show Okada returned on. I think everything Okada did since then. And Yoshihashi took 8 years to win the fucking.
Wasn't he in the same Young Lion class as Naito for a bit as well?
I think that sounds right. I think so.
That guy's trajectory is, it's going high, and he's just. His ring gear also sucks. He looks like shit, but I don't know. There's a nice little like, yeah, come on Yoshihashi, you can do it. And maybe that's his charm, is that he's just a shitty pro wrestler.
I think he's good. I think he's good at selling. His selling's pretty good. I think he can be pretty good at like firing up and getting you behind him. But yeah, his offense is so bad, just horrible.
So you've almost got to take yourself out of the, like, convince yourself like, oh, this guy's going to look like he's going to hit some bad double knees. He's going to hit some pretty bad drop kicks. He's going to do some pretty awful looking submissions. You don't have to accept that, and accept that Juice Robinson is going to have to sell for them to sort of like this match. And I kind of like this match. I thought this was a pretty good match.
Yeah, this was good. That's the other thing. It's like, I'm seeing what spots I really like too. There's like Yoshi did this big delayed powerbomb after I just said his movesets were terrible. He did a great powerbomb.
He's never done that before.
Yeah, I think he's done the running Liger bomb before. But yeah, this was like a big delayed powerbomb where he did a sunset flip over Juice, from the turnbuckle to the ring, and then like did this big powerbomb. That got a 2 count. His axe bomber is good too. That's another good move. That got a 2 count as well. And you know what? I'm identifying Yoshi moves I like. The Karma is a great finisher. Karma looks awesome. Why does he not do that more often instead of that fucking butterfly lock? I can't tell you. But, he eventually does get Juice locked in that stupid fucking butterfly lock. The crowd here, like you said, tried to rally Juice, organically with the boom boom clap thing he already taught them. Milano was just saying it out loud. That was really funny. He was like, boom boom clap. Boom boom clap. Oh, yeah. Thought that was funny.
I like that.
Yoshi, he tried to turn it into a slightly different hold, but because he's Yoshihashi, somehow that looked even worse than the butterfly hold. Well, he was sort of like moving it around. I don't know how to describe it. Like into like a half Nelson or something. It was very weird looking.
You know how the butterfly lock you
Juice stood up out of it, so Yoshi slammed him down, hit the Swanton Bomb, which another move that looks good. So we're identifying some good Yoshi moves, but he never does the Swanton Bomb anymore. So that's the problem. Juice kicked out 2.9. Yoshi went for the Karma. Juice fought his way out of it. Both guys stood up and exchanged these chops. And Yoshi went for the spin kick, but Juice took his head off with a short arm lariat. When's the last time Juice Robinson did a lariat? I can't remember him ever doing that really before. Can you?
No, well, I mean, he probably does do clotheslines, but you know how everyone's got a big explode out of the gates move?
Mm-hmm.
In a sequence, Juice use the fist?
Juice uses the fist more than
yeah, right. But I think, Yoshihashi sold that well too.
Yeah.
So for all the shitting on him I just did, I think he had a pretty good match.
Yeah. So, Juice ended up getting... Well, Juice went for Pulp Friction. Yoshi escaped and rolled him up for 2 count. That was a 2 count, and that was a great near fall. I thought he was actually going to get the pin with that.
I got sucked in.
Yeah.
For that.
But then Juice hit a pair of left hand of God punches, and then finally hit the Pulp Friction for the pin. But yeah,
how good was the first left hand of God? He span around, hit him, and then hit him again.
Yeah,
I thought that looked awesome.
But yeah, this started out pretty boring, but at least it made sense because they were going way longer than I expected them to go, almost 16 minutes. But yeah, I mean, they had this turned to a pretty damn good match, and I would go 3.5. I liked it. So
I went exactly 3.5 too.
Yeah, pretty good. Toru Yano versus Sonata. Toru Yano defeated Sonata in 6:16 by countout. This is the match that has made some people go completely insane. I posted on my Twitter this one 0.0 review on Cage Match by this guy who honestly sounded like Toru Yano came to his home and like killed his family in front of him. I was like, come on, buddy. It's a 6-minute wrestling match and it's Toru Yano. If you don't know, but if you haven't figured it out by now, because this guy also said he might have to start skipping Toru Yano matches after 10 years of watching. And it's like, it's like,
that doesn't add up.
That's what he said. That's what he claimed. It's like, sir, if you needed 10 years to figure out whether or not you're into Toru Yano, I don't know what the fuck to tell you. I mean, like, this should have been pretty obvious by now. Either watch these matches or don't, but like 10 years? It's like, what the fuck?
I mean, yeah. I'm a bit lost for words for that sort of. That's quite a bizarre train of thought to have. There's a funny guy actually on the the New Japan schedule, like on their website, and you know how it's connected to it's connected to like Facebook comments, or you can like comment on the actual schedule page, and there is a guy who vehemently supports Sonata on those, like a Western fan, and like, whenever he's sort of like, this is like when he lost to Evil in the New Japan Cup, it was, this is a waste of time. Why do we even do this? So maybe it was that guy. Maybe it was the same fan.
Well, somebody did reply to my tweet and say they know that person, and it wasn't not a super fan, so you're probably just mad.
Oh my goodness.
So it could have been this person, yeah.
Wow, crazy.
Yeah, you might have been right.
But I mean, this was what, like an average match. This was completely fine.
I went 2.5. I mean, it wasn't the funniest comedy match I've ever seen, but it was amusing enough. I don't know.
I didn't think it was. I thought it was better than it was funny. Like, if that makes sense to you, like I thought the execution of moves was better than the comedy they tried to tell. Yeah. I do like Sonata's new look.
Yeah, Sonata's new look is great.
I think he was well overdue for it.
Yeah.
And I thought he looked fantastic. I know people hate the Paradise Lock, but I kind of look at wrestling as sort of outing myself as a gigantic nerd, but as like a battle sort of anime where things make sense in that universe, and the Paradise Lock makes sense in that universe. It's not like the Minoru Suzuki's of the world get put in it and immediately go out. Like once you're in that lock, you're sort of stuck in it until he drop kicks you. Like Suzuki just doesn't let himself. Or
until a young lion rolls you over, as we found out.
Yeah, that's what I didn't really get. Why would he do that?
Like, what the fuck is wrong with you, Imura? Why are you helping him out here? Are you not even? It's not like you're in chaos.
No, I was just saying it makes sense when Rocky Romero does that, but I don't know why he did that, and I don't know then why Sonata would then try to put him in the lock himself. So a bit of a contrived finish, but it's Yano. We're probably going to say that 9 times.
Yeah. I mean, Yano basically taped him together in Murab 1. But yeah, there's not a ton to say. It's 6 minutes. I thought it was fine. It was not like an affront to humanity like the other guy thought. So, the next match, Kenta defeating Hiroki Goto with the game over in a match that New Japan did not list the time up for some reason. So let me see if Cage Match has it, because not only do I want my listeners to know, but I am legitimately curious now. So let's see.
I bet you it went shorter than what it felt like.
Yeah, I don't know why. That's the first time I've ever seen them not have a match time in their results. I don't know what they were doing there, but let's see. According to Cage Match, it was 17:15. Okay, guess that's about what I would have expected.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, mate. Felt longer in parts, I guess.
Yeah. So we already talked about how Kenta brought his U.S. Challenger briefcase all the way to Japan with him, which is really funny. But yeah, since the fans can't boo Kenta decided to boo the fans. I thought that was kind of funny. He was like, "Bro," like pointing at them, but they seem pretty happy to see him.
I think this was a tough show to get any legitimate heat unless you've been around for a while.
Yeah. So Kenta did some stalling early on, but they ended up on the floor again, and they were tossing each other on the railing and stuff like that. Not the most exciting opening few minutes, but what are you going to do? So Kenta had promised to win this match with the game over because he had also won the GHC heavyweight title in the same building, however many number of years earlier, around the same time from Takashi Morishima with the game over. So he basically said he was going to do the same thing again. I can look up the date of that. Actually, I have it right in front of me. But yeah, like, so that kind of makes sense, I guess. Oh no, it was actually January 2013. What the hell is he talking about? I guess he just saw it because of the same building. Doesn't matter to him.
Yes,
it's a different
same
time.
building.
Yeah, but I thought he was doing it because it was the same building and like I don't know, the same month or something. But yeah, so he went for it pretty early. Like there was this great little mat wrestling bit where like Goto kept trying to tell Kenta to hit him with these kicks. Kenta was throwing these really hard kicks throughout this entire match, but Goto kept like shrugging him off and telling him to hit some more. And he tried to answer and like run him with a lariat, but Kenta got this awesome arm capture into a triangle and like turned it right over into the game over. Like a really great transition. Not the kind of, really, really smooth. You don't think of Kenta as like a great mat wrestler or technician, but that was great. So I wanted to call that spot out. There was like around the 10-minute call, Goto started going after Kenta's arm a little bit, like snapped it over the top rope. So they were both like, trading these arm holds and stuff. Goto was like kicking at it while he's on the mat, and he got a Fujiwara armbar on Kenta. Kenta had to crawl over, but he eventually did manage to make the bottom rope. Later on in the match, we had Kenta going for the go to sleep, but Goto escaped. Kenta tried to like light him up with these, with these slaps to the face, but Goto completely no-sold him and hit the Ushigoroshi. That looked awesome. And then Goto tried to take him back down to the armbar. He was like really pulling back on the arm as he got the 15-minute call that Kenta made the ropes again. The only thing that kept me from going 4 on this instead of what I went, which was 3 3/4, there was like a minor botch right before the finish where Kenta was trying to take Goto down and the game over, but they both seemed to get kind of lost and couldn't quite pull it off. So that kind of sucks, especially since it was the finish. But, they did finally get the takedown, and Goto nearly makes it to the ropes, but Kenta spins him back over, and Goto has no choice but to tap. But yeah, I really liked a lot of this match, the smooth mat work, the submissions transition from both guys. It was a very different kind of match than I expected from both guys. I expected, I guess, more like their Wrestle Kingdom match, which I loved a lot. I went 4.5 on that one. But, you did still get the hard kicks from Kenta, but you didn't get like nearly as much like standing and trading. But, like I said, you take points off of the finish, but I went 3 3/4. And very encouraging sign from Kenta that he won completely clean with no bullshit at all. So none of that NJPW strong stuff we saw from him. So hopefully he keeps that up in the entire tournament.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the best positive I took out of this match was that how he won. But I maybe I'm just sort of a bit off Goto a little bit just from him being such a non-factor really. I know he's got cool moves, but when he never wins with them, like how much stock can you really put in them? And Kenta as well, I think he's a little slower and not as tight as he used to be. So I was a little disappointed by this. This could have also just been a little fatigue as well, a little like low point in my own watching since I've watched a ton of wrestling this weekend.
Yeah.
I still thought it was good. Like I probably would have gone around that 3 1/4, 3.5. But yeah, like I found myself sort of checking my phone a little bit in this match too. But I think these are just two guys that I don't really care about when they fight each other. Like I'm going to care a lot more when Goto. I was getting excited for a match later, but Goto will wrestle Naito, or when Kenta will wrestle Naito. Like I will care a lot more about those two guys.
I really can't wait for Tanahashi Goto for some reason. I thought that's what you were going to say, and that used to be like a staple rivalry too. And
I think that match will be good, and I will definitely. I think that's I'm pretty sure that's a main event.
Yeah,
as well.
I think so, maybe.
But yeah, I'll care a lot. Like this will be the same when Kenta wrestles Yoshihashi. Like I think I will struggle to sort of care about it.
All right, that's fair.
But maybe you know what? That might be the first show in a couple of days, the first match in a couple of days I've seen. So maybe I'll be way more into it. But as it stands, like this was maybe the 12th or 15th. Like that sort of range match I've seen.
Right.
With two guys I don't really care all that greatly for.
Right. The semi-main event: Zack Sabre Jr. defeating Evil in 14:54 at the European Clutch. This was my pleasant surprise of the night. I really liked this.
So did I.
Yeah, I mean, just watching Zack get to play underdog babyface, it's so unlike anything he does in New Japan. It was really kind of fun. The same kind of way with like
the barbs that he shoots at people.
Yes,
like, because it's against such a dastardly heel, it's babyface jabs now. Like very very funny dynamic.
But it's very similar to when Taichi faced Jay White last year, which he's going to face again this year. So that'll be fun to see him probably play babyface again too. But yeah, I mean, like, look, people kept asking where Taichi was. The A Block people probably weren't even in the building, folks. Kayfabe. They were, maybe they probably were in real life, but in canon, they were like sitting in the hotel, I don't know, getting massages or whatever to get ready for the next show. So Taichi wasn't there to save Zack.
They're already on their way to Sapporo.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, so like, Zack worked this as the total babyface, which was just really fun to watch. And Evil, I've always thought they worked together well in their previous matches too, but obviously the dynamic was completely flipped here because, Evil was the babyface before when he was in LIJ facing Zack. Zack, at the one point, Evil, like he gives the throat slash and he goes for an STO, but Zack counters like with a sleeper and goes like for the Zack driver, like really great transition, but Evil like went to the eyes again to break. And then Zack like trapped both arms and got this really close 2.99 count on a near fall, and then transitioned like seamlessly into an arm hold on the mat. And this is where Dick Togo started getting involved, which again, I get it, people hate it, but it doesn't bother me as much. First of all, it doesn't bother me nearly as much, which I said going into the tournament, when the matches are going 15 minutes instead of 35, which this is going 14:54, so it's exactly what I predicted, before the tournament with Evil and all these semi-main events. It's like, at least you only have to deal with the interference at the end of a 15-minute match and not the end of a 35-minute match. I do think there's a big difference there. But yeah, I mean, like, Zack overcame it too, which also probably just makes it...
Oh, that absolutely helps.
Yeah.
As well.
But yeah, so like, basically Zack like trapped his legs, or trapped his leg between his legs when he tried to go for a low blow. That was kind of funny, or kind of cool looking. I think he's done that before, honestly. But yeah, then Evil went for the Evil, but Zack suddenly countered with his elaborate roll up, the European clutch, and that got the pin. Milano was like chanting ZSJ at the end.
Oh, that was so funny.
Yeah.
That's such just good continuity as well. Like, of course, Milano's not just going to stop hating Evil randomly after the Naito feud or whatever, because Evil ran him into the barricade. Like, of course he's going to hate him forever.
Yeah. I mean, it's great. They do a really good job with that stuff. But yeah, this match, I went 3 3/4. I really liked it. I thought, Evil kept up with the grappling. It was a very fun change of pace, seeing Zack as a babyface overcoming the odds. I didn't quite think it was a 4-star match, but I really liked it.
Yeah, I really liked it too. I went 3 3/4 as well, which means we're both accurate star raters.
There you go.
But I really liked Evil in LIJ. I thought he was a good number 2 gatekeeper, hoss type of guy that could have these really good. He would have really good G1s. Sometimes he'd get lost in his long main events whenever he had them. But I really liked him, and obviously the cheating. He's working a lot slower and a lot more deliberate now. And the cheating also doesn't probably help the matches a lot. But when people say he's bad and he's always been bad, that's not true.
Yeah,
he was getting universal praise in last year's G1. Like, he was knocking it out of the park almost nightly in that last year's tournament.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what people. I've heard those critiques too, and I don't know what the fuck people are talking about.
He's a good professional wrestler. He's just wrestling a really, boring style to try and get a new character over that. I personally aren't that big of a fan of, but whatever. But I thought Zack really was a great foil for that style. So every time Evil went for some sort of boring, slow control spot, and then Zack would get him in an octopus. You're like, oh my god, yes, come on, Zack. Like, this is, you can tap him out wherever with whatever. Like, yeah, just keep putting him in these holds. Keep doing it. And he didn't tap him out in the end, but got him with just as good of a sneaky Zack Sabre Jr.-esque move.
Yeah. So I mean, it's I I don't really think the evil always suck thing I don't get, and I think he like there's times where like the old evil sneaks through, like when he does that anything where he's like running really fast and like throwing lariats and stuff, which he did at one point during this match. But yeah, I don't know. I hope he transitions into doing a little bit less of the bullshit and more of the old evil as time goes on. But I think we're stuck with this for a while, unfortunately.
I think this is the direction all tournament long. But hey, he's either going to get beaten in the finals or he's going to get beaten in the block finals.
Yeah.
So you can cheer very loudly at those times.
But yeah, I really liked him in that. Look, the Naito Evil matches. I know a lot of people hated them completely. I thought they were both pretty good, but just not up to maybe the level that people wanted, I guess, for big New Japan main events, which I get. But I will go to my grave thinking those matches were pretty good. So
hey, I thought that first Dominion one was pretty boring, but I went 4 stars on the Jingu show.
Okay, I think I went 4 on Dominion and 3 3/4 on Jingu.
Okay, I really didn't like Dominion just because I thought that was. I don't think that really plays to Naito's strengths of him lying on the ground for 30 minutes, having a 5-minute post spot, then getting group wide.
I thought Naito's selling in that match was awesome though. But
I think his selling is good, and I think people underrate his selling because he doesn't sell like he's been shot dead in his knees like he actually.
Well, yes, we'll talk about this in a second when we get to the main event because he was incredible in the main event with that. He is like one of the all-time great sellers when it comes to being subtle and not fucking selling everything like you said, like you're getting shot, which is unfortunately how a lot of people sell nowadays. But yeah, so let's talk. Well, let's go right to the main event then. So Tetsuya Naito defeats Hiroshi Tanahashi in 27-16 with the Destino. I am definitely on the side that says this is a match of the year contender.
I loved the shit out of this match. I was thinking like, oh, this is around 4.5, and then I was like, what have I rated 4.5 this year? This is probably better than that. But then I was like, what have I rated 4 3/4? I don't know if that stacks up against. So I stuck with 4 2/3, that dreaded rating. Mm-hmm. But then later in the night, I started thinking about spots in that match that I hadn't, like without like being on Twitter, like I was just in my head, just thinking about certain spots in that match. And I was like, no, you know what? Like if I'm doing that, then that's a 4 3/4 star match of the year contender for me. I love this match. This was just incredible. This is by far the best match in the COVID era.
Yeah, not even. I mean, I gave the exact same rating, 4 3/4, and I also think it's by far the best COVID era match. I mean, I haven't gone over 4.5 on anything in the COVID era until
no,
this.
neither have I.
Yeah.
4 1/4 was my like roof, and I would be very strict on sort of like I would have to be a legitimate 4.5 to get to 4.5. I didn't want to just give a 4.5 because I wanted to give one.
Yeah.
So like, but this was by far and away. I like looking up and down the cards and sort of knowing what we're going to get out of Okada. I think this is a pretty good chance to be in the match of the tournament as well.
Yeah, I mean this could be it. I mean this was an incredible match,
and I really think Naito in the next 3 nights, B block nights, where he's got ZSJ, Goto, and Sonata in main events. I think there's a really good chance he could be the best wrestler in this tournament, and it's not just because he's my favorite wrestler.
Yeah.
He's the champion in the G1. He's gonna put these shows on his back, and he's gonna deliver.
I mean, he really did here, so And this is not to take anything away from Tanahashi either, who was also incredible. I mean, this was like a vintage Tanahashi.
This was his best performance in a long, long time.
Yeah, vintage Tanahashi here. So the match starts out very slow as you'd expect because they were going long, but not even like as slow as that Okada.
No, it's just deliberate. It's just like a deliberate. Oh, I'm going to wrap you up. Like we're feeling each other out. I'm going to wrap you up. Sort of.
Yeah, I was going to say it was nowhere near as boring as the start of Okada and Bushi. No, like there was this awesome spot where Naito did the. Like this fake out dive in the tranquilo pose, and Tanahashi tried to come back in and hit a senton, and Naito just rolled backwards into another tranquilo pose. It's like what a badass.
It's just like I feel like everything, even in the longer Naito matches, I feel like he is able to. I don't know whether or not it's just through his expression or his crowd connection or whatever, but he's. Like, when they're doing wrist locks and stuff, like it feels like that matters a lot more to when Okada is doing those in his longer matches. Like, it feels like there's a lot more gravity to everything that happens in a great Naito match.
Yeah. So there was we got the flipping senton off the middle rope pretty early, and Tana landed on him pretty hard, and that got a 2 count. After that point, Tanahashi started going to the dragon screws. We got our first one of the match with Naito rolling to the floor to escape, and Tanahashi follows with an amazing high fly flow crossbody to the floor, just wipes Naito out. Naito takes those standing high fly flows better than anyone else in New Japan. Because
he is the most underrated base, I think, as like a one-person base for dives.
Yeah. I mean, he just bumps his ass off for everything, so that always makes everything look better. But yeah, so the Naito barely beats a 20 count, and which I thought was a subtle little thing for Tanahashi, because Tanahashi normally would not try to beat people by taking a count out, but I guess the idea is now he's so desperate with how his 2020's going, and how he might not be able to hang anymore. Like, he's just like, give me the count out. I don't care anymore. I'm not tossing him back in the ring. But yeah, Naito barely beats a 20 count. He gets caught with a dragon screw in the ropes by Tanahashi when Naito's trying to get back in the ring, which is also kind of a dick move. So I don't know if I think Tanahashi's kind of leaning into that, doing what he has to do. Tana tries to turn Naito over the Texas Cloverleaf. Naito rolls Tanahashi up into a cradle for a close 2 count. He does an amazing job selling that he can barely stand, but still manages to hit that huge spine buster he does. He basically did the spine buster on one leg, which is like that subtle stuff where he, it's not like his leg is broken, but like he has to do his move on one leg, which is like, there's so many wrestlers I feel like I complain about who just do all their moves exactly the same after they get all the leg work, but then just between moves, they clutch their leg like, oh, my leg. Where it's like, that's not selling the leg. I'm sorry. It should impact you while you're doing moves too, which it did here for Naito.
Yeah, or they go the complete other extreme of like collapsing.
Yeah,
I was like, well, if your leg's that bad, shouldn't the referee be calling? I don't know if you ever played like sport before, but if you ever like jar a knee in basketball, you're not like clutching your knee like this is it for me. Like you're like hobbling around trying to make it look like you're not hurt.
Right, and that's what Naito did throughout this match.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what he does in all these knee matches.
Naito hits a top rope Rana on Tanahashi, but Tanahashi rolls through it into a sunset flip for a very close 2.9 count. I think they did that at least in one other match before, maybe the G1 one. It's just such an awesome spot. The G1 2017, I mean. Tanahashi gives him 2 straight grounded dragon screws and locks Naito in the cloverleaf. Naito like struggles, sells like he might be going out, which is how Tanahashi beat him at Dominion 2017. He had him in the cloverleaf, and Naito went unconscious from the pain without ever tapping. So I thought that was a really cool touch that they were selling like they might do that finish again. But Naito, finally makes for the ropes to break at that point. There's a great spot where like Naito, he goes for the flying forearm, but he does like a great job not having his usual speed or leap behind it because he's still selling the leg, and then lets Tanahashi move easily to the side to avoid it and hit the capture German for a close 2.9 count.
Oh man, that was a great near fall. Because he's beaten people with that move before. Yeah. Like admittedly, it'd be like young lions or juniors or whatever in like multiple tags. But you never know with these like who. Could this be a new G1 move he's trying to get over? So, like, that legitimately got me that near fall.
And then Naito came back with a rolling capo kick and then the swinging DDT off the ropes. Again, awesome job. He's not doing everything with the exact same, like, crispness or speed as usual to sell the leg. And he does, like, grab it, too, afterwards. We get the 20-minute call. Naito tries... This was awesome. He goes for Valencia. He gets Tanahashi up, but Tanahashi just fucking falls on him in midair, which is such a great counter. Like, just... go straight down.
Oh, no, that was he counted that into a sling blade.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, no, he didn't count it into a sling blade. Incredible spot.
I thought he just turned it into like a cross body.
No, it was like a sling... Because remember, he couldn't hit the sling blade a few times before that.
Right.
Man, God, I love this match.
It was so good. Tanahashi tried for like some kind of cross-leg suplex, but Naito turned it into Destino in mid-air, which looked awesome. And then both guys are down again. They get back up. They start trading elbow shots. Naito's still bouncing up and down on one leg to sell the leg injury. I saw some people say he wasn't selling the leg. I don't know what the fuck match they were watching. I mean,
these are people that have never played sports in their life. You just your hand wave them. They've never played sports. They don't know how. Like, they've never been hurt in their lives. So
it's just very bizarre because it's like he was selling the leg the entire match. There are plenty of wrestlers who completely forget about the leg injury in their matches. Just Naito in this match was not one of them. He was selling it for much longer after Tanahashi. The only time he quote unquote maybe stopped selling it was like, I don't know, 10 minutes after Tanahashi had last hit the leg at all. So it's like, yeah, at that point, of course, he's not going to... Like, at some point, the leg is not bothering him as much, you know? Like, in the very, very end of the stretch run, I think Naito did kind of, like, not sell it as much. But, like, he hadn't touched the leg in, like, 10 minutes, you know? This wasn't a... To me, this wasn't a leg match, right? Like, they didn't do the entire... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, sorry, I was just like... But you can also, like, will yourself to, like, explode once on a bad knee.
Yeah.
And, like, without it really... like becoming an issue.
But I don't know. I saw that critique and I'm just like, he sold the leg awesome throughout this entire match, and the time when he quote unquote forgot about it, maybe like Tanahashi hadn't touched the leg in like 15 minutes. I mean, it's like whatever. But yeah, Naito, he gets those repeated back elbows. I love when he does that now. He like grabs the guy's arm and just elbows the shit out of him like he's like Bryan Danielson in like 2005. Such a great little spot. Just keeps throwing the elbows while holding on the arm. Tanahashi just screaming in pain. Great selling by him. Finally wipes him out completely. Naito gives him the Gloria for a 2 count. He winds him up and goes for Destino, but Tanahashi counters in the twisted shout. Hits 2 more of them. Goes for the sling blade, but Naito counters it, but then Tanahashi gets it anyway. And we got the 25-minute call. Only 5 minutes left, so now you're starting to think maybe they're just going to go the 30-minute draw, which I had actually picked in the... pick'em. So I was like, maybe they're really going to do it. And then Tanahashi hits a second sling blade, heads up top, waits for Naito to stand back up, hits a huge standing high fly flow crossbody. Naito again, excellent job. Like he leaps right into it. Like it looks like it kills him. Such a great. Nobody takes that move like he does. It's so good. Tanahashi goes for the high fly flow to the front. Naito rolls out of the way. So just when you think the ace was going to pull it off, Naito just barely gets out of it. Naito hits the running Destino for a 2 count. He hooks him for the real one. Tanahashi lands back on his feet, so Naito quickly hits the Valencia. He goes for the real Destino, and that's enough for the pin. Outstanding fucking wrestling match between 2 of the very best to ever do this. Broken down, quote unquote, or not. They were both just incredible here. I can't quite pull the trigger on the full 5 just because I've seen them have slightly better matches. 2 of the 3 matches in 2017 were the full 5 for me. I think this was not quite up to that level. Some of the Destinos at the end could have looked a little smoother. That's probably nitpicking. But again, nittiest of nitpicks. 4 3/4, my number 3 match of the year, behind only Naito Okada, which is my only full 5, and Kaito and Go from the Noah 1-4 show. I mean, incredible match. Absolutely incredible match.
Funnily enough, this is my number 3 match of the year too, behind that AEW Revolution tag and the Naito Okada match at number 1.
Yeah, I did not like the Revolution tag that much, so probably not surprising to people.
I'm not surprised.
It was on. If you want to, I actually talked about it on the Omakase Patreon. So if you want to hear my takes on that, the episode I did with Nate from Everything Elite, the 5 matches episode, he picked it as one of his matches. So you can hear all my takes on that on the patreon.com/wrestling Omakase. I'm not going to spoil them anymore. Go to the Patreon, $5. Anyway, but yeah, incredible match. I mean, what else can you say?
It really, yeah. It's as I said, I think Naito is going to put this block on his back, especially because he's the champion. He's got the most main events. I think this block will also get better when you separate these 2. So then you can have a Tanahashi match and a Naito match. And you also sort of separate some of the other people as well. So I think this block isn't as bad as what people are saying it is. Like when you separate Sonata and Yano, you're going to get a better Sonata match. So I'm actually looking forward to this block, just also from it's interesting as well, because I think we know who's going to come out of the A block.
Yeah.
Whereas there's probably at least 2 people that can definitely come out of this block. But I've got G1 fever.
Yeah. I mean, this first 2 nights were awesome. I like the B block night better. I mean, this main event was awesome, and I know some people said they weren't into the B block, but like you said, I think Naito's going to have some really good matches here. I think there's plenty of other stuff on the undercard that I'm interested in. So I thought the first 2 nights, I thought the B block won, but not the A block was bad. I mean, it still had 2 4-star plus matches, but just a really great start to the G1. Okay, so let me give the standings real quick. The A block, we have Kota Ibushi, Will Ospreay, Minoru Suzuki, Taichi, and Jay White all at 1-0 with 2 points. Jeff Cobb, Okada, Ishii, Shingo Takagi, and Yujiro all with 0 points. The B block, you have Juice, Yano, Naito, Zack, and Kenta all with 2 points. And Tanahashi, Goto, Yoshihashi, Sonata, and Evil all with 0 points. So there you go. There's your standings so far. I'm going to give my top 5 matches after the first 2 nights. When we kind of said them all anyway, but might as well just give them the ranking here. I have Goto versus Kenta from night 2 at 3 3/4 in 5th place. Cobb versus Taichi from night 1, 3 3/4 in 4th. White versus Shingo, night 1, 4 1/4 at 3rd. Suzuki and Ishii, night 1, 4 1/4 in 2nd. And obviously Naito and Tanahashi from night 2, 4 3/4 in 1st. So I just said I liked night 2 better, but I had 3 night 1 matches. So they're both great, though. That fucking main event is so overwhelming to me that it almost.
Well, when you have a great main event, that makes the show feel better.
Yeah. But I like the undercard too. I saw some people say they didn't like the undercard, but I thought there was plenty of good stuff on it. But so the last thing we can say here is we can look ahead to the next show, which is September 23rd on Wednesday from Sapporo. Again, if you want to hear my review of that show, it will be on the Patreon episode, along with the next 2 N-1 shows from Noah. So that'll be on, or not the next 2, because there's one in between, but 2 more Noah shows. They'll all be in one day. But yes, it's an A block show from Sapporo. It opens with Yu Uemura against Gabriel Kidd. Then you have Jeff Cobb versus Shingo and a battle of winless opponents there. Another battle of winless wrestlers, Okada versus Yujiro, which we'll see if Okada can get anything. I know the world was clamoring for that again. The 4th match, 2 guys who, this is my most anticipated match by a mile. Minoru Suzuki versus Taichi, both at 2 points. I cannot wait for that. I'm so fucking excited.
I think that's going to be a good one.
Yeah. The semi-main, Tomohiro Ishii at 0 points against Ospreay with 2 points. And the main event... Yeah, I'm sure it probably will. The main event, Kota Ibushi and Jay White, the rematch from last year's G1 Finals, both sitting at 2 points too, so that'll be a big one.
Not super into it. I think there's some good stuff on that card, but I don't think that's a fiery A block card.
The top 3 to me are pretty damn good. So, I don't know. I'm pretty excited. We'll see. But yeah, that's your next card in the G1. So, there you go. All right, folks. That means it's time to go to the Noah N1 victory. So I know this probably have to be a little bit shorter since we did talk so long about the G1. So I apologize to the Noah heads tuning in for this, but the show also was kind of nothing. So it's I apologize, but also the show was not that good anyway. So it's not a ton to talk about.
Would this be harsh? This was a World Tag League.
Yeah, this was single cam. Just wasn't a lot of fans there. There wasn't a lot of energy. And the wrestlers, some of them tried. Look, this was still better than probably every Champion Carnival show, I think.
I would agree. Absolutely.
But, the energy was there at least. But, the match quality was about the same as most of these Champion Carnival shows, honestly. So, just really nothing stood out that well. So, it opened up with Kinya Okada against Neo. Of course, Kinya Okada is a young boy. Why are there so many goddamn Okadas in Japan now? I can't tell you because New Japan, All Japan, Noah all have one. But yes, Neo beat him in 11:06. This was okay. I just thought it went a little too long. 11 minutes is a long way to go here especially for Neo, who's the former Hiroki, that people would call High 69 because that's how it's written. But yeah, I don't know. This just wasn't that great, honestly. Very much just a match. I would say maybe actually a little below average. Went 2 1/4 on it. Definitely skippable and definitely went way too long for what it was.
Yeah, I came into this sort of half late-ish because I went straight from G1 to N1,
and
I was still on a massive buzz from that main event. So this didn't really get the full attention. Probably, it doesn't sound like it deserved my full attention, to be honest. But yeah, I wasn't, because it wasn't a block match either. I wasn't super into it. But yeah, as you said, it was fine. It was like fine.
Yeah, it was. I don't even think it was that. I mean, it was like below average, I think. Match 2, the first N1 victory match of the night in the B block. Naomichi Marufuji defeats Yoshiki Inamura in 12:23. This was Marufuji's first match of the entire tournament. He didn't wrestle on the first show, and Inamura, took the L here and goes to 0-2. He had lost on the first show. So I should probably mention too, for the people who aren't patrons, because I introduced the whole tournament on the Patreon. It's a league with 6 guys in each block, but they're only doing 4 matches on each night. So both nights there's 2 people getting the night off, basically, or every night there's 2 people getting the night off. So they don't alternate blocks or anything. There's B and A block on every show, but like people get the night off every show. So, but yeah, I mean, this was honestly not that great. I thought this was a very average match. I mean, really, the finish was the only thing that saved it from below average territory for me. There was like a really cool spot where Inamura went for the crucifix bomb, but Marufuji reversed it into a Rana, and that was a nice spot. And then Marufuji hit like the kick combo, and then like Anita almost seemed to catch Inamura low, which he kind of sold it like it did, so that was kind of cool. Because I don't think Marufuji meant to hit him that low, but he sold it well. Maybe it just really hurt, I don't know. But then he finished it off with the tiger knee, I think he calls it, that knee, that uppercut knee kind of, and that got the pin. But yeah, I mean, I would say this is one that's very skippable if you haven't seen this show yet. I mean, I only went 2.5 on it. I just thought it was a very average match. Just not a lot to it.
I don't watch enough Noah as I'd like to. Every time I drop in for a show, I always enjoy myself. And I always say, I'm going to watch more. I never do. So I think because it's just, again, like I'm reopening my Noah door. I think that's maybe why I'm a bit higher on this one than you. Like, I still only went 3 on it. I thought it was like good. I like Marufuji as well. I think that's why. I thought Inamura, because I liked his match on night 1, probably had some goodwill with me here too. But I thought it was like a completely fine, acceptable, good match for this sort of show.
Yeah. Match number 3 was an 8-man tag. Daisuke Harada, Go Shiozaki, Kaito Kiyomiya, and Yohei defeating the Kongo team of Kano, Katsuhiko Nakajima, Hao, and Tadasuke in 2019. Go pin Nakajima, which is a big fucking deal, obviously.
Well, can you explain to me why that happened?
I don't know. I haven't read anything like as far as like Nakajima, I guess, just turned. This was very bizarre booking. I don't know what. It was very surprising. I mean, Go pinned Nakajima clean with a lariat. The fans at ringside didn't even seem to know how to react to it, honestly. And I don't know. I mean, like, the fans were stunned. I was stunned. I don't know what he said in the promo either. I'm trying to look that up now, actually.
It seemed like he was. I wasn't really. I had the volume downish for this match, or towards the end of this match. But it looked like he was talking to Kano about something to do with their championships.
Okay. But yeah, I don't. He was like obviously very pissed at him. I think that's obvious because for turning on him and all that. But yeah, I don't. It was just very. He was very, like, I guess, furious with him, and like, and it's very bizarre to have him pin Nakajima right after Nakajima turned on him.
Right, because isn't that the big money match Noah has?
It is. So I don't. It was a very bizarre finish. I haven't really read a good explanation for why that happened, but that's what happened. That is what happened. So. I'm trying to see if Hisami Noah has any translation here of the promo because I'm curious.
Because Shiozaki was holding up his belt and sort of gesturing to Kano while Kano was doing a similar thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he blames Kano for stealing his friend.
Yeah, I don't know. He said he lost his temper when a wild look in his eyes. He screamed on the microphone. if he thought the league was so crap, he'd be the one to make it interesting. So I guess Nakajima had actually insulted the N-1. So, okay. I don't know. It's very... That was from Hisami. It's HI5AME on Twitter. She does a great job with all the Noah translations and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. It was very bizarre. I mean, the match itself was pretty good. It went. I mean, going 20 minutes for a random 8-man was really, really weird. It did go on a long time, but I thought there was good action throughout the match. I went like 3 1/4 on it. It may have been my favorite match of the night, actually. I mean, I may have liked this more than the other tournament matches, but it's close at least. But I don't know. It was bizarre that it went this long. Bizarre that Go pinned Nakajima. Just very bizarre all around. I don't know. Very, very weird.
I do think it's an interesting wrinkle to the story, but also kind of confusing.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah. I mean, Noah will have guys beat. It's not like New Japan where they'll have where, like, if you're in a big tag and, like, you have lower guys, the lower guys always get pinned. Like, Noah will have guys get pinned. Big people get pinned in these tags now. I mean, Go got tapped out by Sakuraba, like, right before the tournament started. So
right, but I thought, isn't that to do more with the story that Go is hanging on by a thread?
That's what I thought too. Yeah. So I don't know, but like Go just coming back and pinning Nakajima, it's like okay.
Yeah, that's what's even more confusing. Not so much that like that's the money match, is that doesn't that sort of go against this story you're telling about the champion like scratching and clawing his way through these matches?
Yeah.
Oh well, I'm still going to watch. I mean, I'm interested still.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. It's not like I'm not burying it or anything. I think, I'm interested to see where they go, which is very, very, very surprising for sure. The fourth match in the A block, Manabu Soya defeating Masa Kitamiya in 12:56. Actually, this was Kitamiya's first match of the tournament. He didn't wrestle on night one. Soya had lost on night one. This started very slow. I mean, given these two guys, I wasn't exactly expecting them to, start doing handspring elbows or anything. But yeah, I mean, it picked up, and like there was a spot where Kitamiya gave Soya like this big knee crusher on the apron. That looked pretty cool, and we got this Indian deathlock from Kitamiya, but Soya was able to make the ropes fairly quickly. We got away from the leg work though into like this big meaty power battle like you'd probably expect it, but I don't know, like that Soya like nearly took Kitamiya's head off with a lariat. Did another lariat wasn't quite as good for a 2 count. And then he went straight into whatever his finish is, that like weird headlock thing. Like especially the fixed cam had a terrible angle on it. Like all you could see was his back, basically. Like, you couldn't see Kitamiya, struggling or anything. Like really all I could see was Soya's back. So they need to turn around on this single cam show, clearly. But yeah, that ended up being the finish. So, I don't know. I thought it was like 3 1/4 again. Nothing that ever got to the next level. But a fun little match. Especially when they started like running into each other like raging bulls. And I kind of wish that part of it had been a bit longer and they just skipped the leg stuff. But what are you going to do?
Yeah. Did you see the English Noah Twitter account put up a picture of 2 hippos?
Oh, that actually is Hisabe. That's not the official.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Sorry.
But yeah, that is funny.
I like that match just sort of for that reason. Yeah, like as you said, it's a 3 1/4 star match, but it's like a fun 3 1/4 star match on like a house show.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I'm not expecting the house to be burnt down with, G1 main event style matches on these shows.
Yeah.
So I thought it was fun, and maybe I'm rating things differently on these sort of shows because I think they're good for these type of shows.
Yeah.
But I like this match, and again, Soy's had 2 good matches now in this tournament.
Yeah, he's good. The semi-main event, Kazushi Sakuraba defeating Masaki Mochizuki in 8:28. First of all, it's very cute how some of the ladies on camera were doing the Mochizuki arm raise, even though they can't actually yell out Mochizuki during the theme song. So I thought that was cute. They were still keeping the spirit alive. But yeah, this was, I wish this had gone longer, I guess. From what we got of it, I really liked it. I thought it was like about 3 1/4 again. Would have liked to see them trade more kicks or suplexes because when they were doing that, it was awesome. But they did like you got the kind of like mat wrestling you would expect. One spot that annoyed me that this isn't even a critique of this match as much as it is of wrestling in general. Like Sakuraba, he gets his takedown into a leg lock. Mochizuki very quickly rolls over the ropes. but the referee doesn't actually force Sakuraba to completely break the hold. He just lets him roll back in the middle with the leg and reapply the hold, which is like, that always annoys me. It's like, it's a rope break. You're supposed to make the guy get off of him, not just like, sort of stop applying the hold, but keep a hold of him and like reapply the hold. So I don't know. It's one of these things in wrestling where it's like sometimes rope breaks aren't really rope breaks, and it's like, why a rope break should be a rope break? Like, what are we doing here? So that's again not really even a critique of just this match. I see that like pretty frequently. I'm just like, I don't know why are some rope breaks not rope breaks? Doesn't really make any sense. But anyway, the match itself, I liked it. I thought, like I said, 3 1/4. The finish was awesome. That definitely, helped it a lot. Where like Mochizuki tries to he hits this twister, the spinning brainbuster, gets a 2 count. He tries to follow up with a German suplex hold. He gets the German suplex, but as Sakuraba kicks out of the bridge, he just transitions right into the Kimura, just catches him, and Mochizuki has no choice but to tap out. So there you go, great finish. I'd say pretty good match. Again, 3 1/4.
Yeah, so this was my match of the night. I had this at 3.5. I thought the 8 minutes actually helped this. Like, there was no time for anything other than business, really. But yeah, again, what you touched on, that finish was awesome. I was actually kind of confused when I first saw it because I thought like I looked away for a second. I thought Mochi got him, and then I saw Sakuraba's arm being raised, so I had to go back and look at it again. Like, that's like sort of how clean and like smooth it was. But this was my match of the night, and I really got nothing else to say about it. It was good.
Yeah,
it's good stuff. Mochizuki's having another good tournament.
Yeah, he was. I mean, I love that match with. So like I said, if people not on the Patreon didn't hear my thoughts on night 1, obviously I love that match with Mochizuki and Kaito. So that was a great match. That was awesome. The main event, Takashi Sugiura defeating Shuhei Taniguchi in 21:57. Again, this was night of the 3 1/4 for me because I went 3 1/4 on this as well. The early portions were just so boring that, and they were going 22 minutes, so I get it. But, like, I can't go higher than 3 1/4, even though I did like the rest of it quite a bit. But, like, it just felt like it took 15 minutes for anything to happen. I mean, like, really, the first note I have of anything good happening was, like, when they finally started trading hard elbows after the 15-minute mark, which is, like, one of the, like, there's a superplex, and then, like, both guys end up on the floor, and then, like, around the 15-minute mark, like, probably, like, 5 minutes pass before anything that interesting happens. But everything after that is pretty damn good, so that's why I went 3 1/4. There's, like, a lot of great strike exchanges. Sugiura hit this pair of running knees and a German suplex where Taniguchi kicked out at 1. That was great. And he ran over and hit another running knee, and that got a 2 count. And then we had the big headbutt exchange. The completely unnecessary shoot headbutt. There was one spot towards the end that confused me, or what didn't confuse me, just looked like crap. So Taniguchi, he hit this like wacky slam, which almost looked like a full Nelson slam, except with his arms around the guy's stomach, almost like a rear waist lock, or just a little bit higher. But that didn't look very good, because doing it from that position just made it look way more obvious that the guy taking the move is doing the entire work and just like jumping up and down than a standard full Nelson slam does. So I don't know. Right. You should retire that one because that looked pretty stupid.
And you can't give the illusion of getting any height on that when you grab them around the waist either. Yeah. Like, at least the full Nelson, like, it's a taller looking move, so it looks like you're getting them up higher. Yeah, that was.
This just looks like a guy's just jumping. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of this match. To be honest with you, I thought it was fine. I didn't love it. I thought it got really long in the tooth.
But yeah, I was gonna give it 3.5, but then I hated the finish too because, like, I don't know, like Sugiura's getting his ass kicked. I normally like flash pin finishes, but like Sugiura's getting his ass kicked in this entire closing stretch, just getting killed by Taniguchi, like with these elbows and headbutts and all this shit. And then like he just gets this one like weak looking Rana out of nowhere, and that's the pin. It's like, come on, Taniguchi, you're kicking his ass. You can't kick out after like a 1 week Rana. It just didn't look convincing at all. Like, I don't know. Like, flash pin finishes need to look like the guy got caught and just can't get out. And this looked like, he could have gotten out very easily. So
this looked like the scheduled finish to a wrestling match.
Yeah, exactly. So I took off a quarter star for that. So that's why I went 3 1/4, when I probably would have gone 3 1/2 if not for that finish. But yeah, overall, just not a great show. If you're going to skip a Noah show in this N1 victory, you could definitely skip this one. It was quite a bit worse than Night 1, which Night 1 had, 2 4-star matches I really liked.
Well, Night 1 was a great show.
Yeah.
And it looked great too. Like, it felt like a big show.
Yeah. So, I mean, what are you going to do? But I'm going to hope it's just like a little one-off thing here where, like, they're going to Korakuen next. So hopefully we said the same thing with All Japan. It didn't happen. But hopefully at Korakuen...
that Wednesday show is going to be on Fight. So I think they'd have to put some effort into there. Like, that's going to be a big deal.
Yeah. So we have a Tuesday show and then Wednesday doubleheader. But there you go. All right, so the standings so far in the A block, and remember, there's a little more wacky than the New Japan standings because they've all wrestled different numbers of matches. So you have Go Shiozaki and Kazuchi Sakuraba, who are both 1-0 with 2 points. You have Manabu Soya, who's 1-1 with 2 points. You have Kaito Kiyomiya, who's just got the 0-1, the one draw. He has 1 point. Mochizuki is 0-1-1. He's got 1 point. And Masa Kitamiya is 0-1 with 0 points. B block, Takashi Sugera on top with 2-0, 4 points. Then you have Naomichi Marufuji, 1-0 with 2 points. You also have Nakajima, 1-0 with 2 points. And you have Kano, 0-1, and Shuei Taniguchi, both 0-1 with 0 points. And Yoshiki Inamura, 0-2 with 0 points. I'm going to give my top 5 matches of the M1 so far. So in 5th place, and they're all from Night 1. So it's all 5 matches from Night 1. 5th place, the 5th place is from Night 2. They can't all be from Night 1 because Night 1 only had 4 tournament matches. Yeah. 5th place is Masaki Mochizuki versus Kazuchi Sakuraba in the A block, 3 1/4. That was my favorite match from this Night 2. Then I had Go Shiozaki versus Manabu Soya from the A block on Night 1, went 3 1/2. 3rd place, Sugera versus Inamura from the B block on Night 1, also went 3 1/2. 2nd place, Kano versus Nakajima from the B block on Night 1, went 4 stars flat. And 1st place, Kaito Kiyomiya versus Masaki Mochizuki, A block, 4 1/4 from Night 1. Was that also your favorite match, I guess, from the Night 1 as well?
No, I liked the Kano Nakajima match.
Okay.
I liked that better. But I mean, the draw was fantastic. I think I would have. I liked it. I was spoiled, and I'm glad I was spoiled for the draw because I was really interested to see how they'd get there. Whereas I think if I didn't know there was a draw, I think it might have started to get a little tedious. But I really liked that Kano Nakajima match.
Right.
Which just free on Wrestle Universe.
Yes, that's right. Free Night 1 is free on Wrestle Universe. It's true. All right, so the last thing here before I can wrap it up, the card for the next Noah N1 night, Night 3 on Tuesday, September 22nd from Korakuen, opens up with Mohamed Yone and Kinya Okada versus Manabu Soya and Yoshiki Inamura. The first tournament match is in the B block. Kano, who's still looking for... Kano and versus Shuei Taniguchi, and they're both looking for the first win. They're both 0-1. The third match in the A block, Kaito Kiyomiya, with 1 point, against Masa Kitamiya, who has 0 points. Match 4, Ogawa, Kotaro Suzuki, and Hayata versus Tadasuke, Hao, and Neo. Match 5 in the A block, Go Shiozaki versus Kazuchi Sakuraba. That's a big match. They're both at 2 points, and of course, Sakuraba tapped Go out in a tag match leading up to the tournament, so it's like Go's chance for revenge here. And the main event, a old school Noah clash here, now in the B block. Naomichi Marufuji, who's at 1-0, against Takashi Sugera, who's at 2-0, the only 2-0 wrestler right now. So that should be pretty interesting. Definitely interested to see what they do there. So definitely looks like a good card on paper.
I think that is that's a fun looking card.
Yeah.
I thought some of those matches were a part of the fight show.
No, I guess they're not. I think it's the afternoon fight show looks kind of crappy actually, which is kind of weird. They picked the wrong one. The evening one looks good, and the afternoon one looks kind of bad.
It's the afternoon one on Fight.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
They picked the wrong one. So we'll get into that as we get to the rest of the tournament. But yeah, one last plug again for the Wrestling Omakase Patreon. We have All Japan Champion Carnival Night 4 tomorrow for patrons. Noah N-1 Victory Night 3 only for patrons. The triple header, New Japan G1 Night 3, and the afternoon and night shows for patrons on Wednesday the 23rd, and Thursday the 24th for patrons only. The New Japan G1 Night 4 from Sapporo, so should be a lot of fun. That's the Naito Zack Sabre Jr. main event, so excited to see that one and talk about that one. They had such great chemistry in 2018, so
really looking forward to that one. That's like I got a bit sick of Zack Sabre Jr. a little bit, but I'm like after his match on Sunday, I'm really looking forward to that main event.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. All right, go ahead and give me your plugs, man. What you got to plug?
I've really got nothing on. I've got a private Twitter account. I don't really tweet that much, but I guess when you see some of my reviews on the Voices of Wrestling, give them a click and give them a read, and hopefully I can convince you to either watch a show or you get what you need out of those. But other than that, thank you very much for having me on, John. It was a real pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I had a great time. And of course, thank you everybody for listening. You can follow us on Twitter at WrestleOmakase, Wrestling Would Not Fit, and we will see you next time.